What I mean is that this nightmare will never end. Every time I wake up, I'll be reminded that Elvira is never coming back. I can't doubt my ability, Finnegan. It's too risky. What's that supposed to mean? Devante, reconsider. Don't make me embarrass her in front of the whole town and in front of your children. You're gonna do as you're told. Whatever happens to my wife after you cross-examine her will be something she brought on herself. Right now, you've got to do whatever it takes to make Devante pay. If my diary helps with that, then you need to let it go. Benny, I love you so much, and you'll never forget me. I'm unforgettable. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to take you all back in time. Back to a time before streaming platforms, social media, and even smartphones. Looking back at it now, 2003 was a simple time. Back in 2003, there once lived a teenager, a young girl whose name was Elvira Russo. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, and an aunt. Elvira was loved. She had dreams and she was full of life. Unfortunately, in the summer of 2003, before she had the chance to turn 18, when her whole life was ahead of her, Elvira's life was brutally taken. For 2 decades, her family, loved ones, and even the world wondered who brutally took the life of this young, vibrant girl. In the beginning of the year, we found the monster who took Elvira Russo's promising life. That monster is in this courtroom, and his name is Devante Torres. It is up to us to make him pay for selfishly, senselessly cutting Elvira's life so short. There is no doubt that Elvira's passing was tragic and sudden. I know very well that she meant a lot to a lot of people. She deserves justice, but my client is not the one who should be punished for Elvira's tragic loss. And it was a tragedy, but in times of tragedy, we look for triumph. Convicting Devante Torres is not how Elvira will gain a triumphant end, and I will prove it to this court. You couldn't at least compliment me like 88 Grand complimented Elvira? Shut up and wait for compliments during the closing statements. I would like to bring Wanda Mitchell to the stand. You have nothing to worry about. Just tell the truth and everything will be all right. Mrs. Mitchell, can you explain your friendship with Elvira to the court? Elvira and I were friends since we were kids. I always had her back and she always had mine. The two of us were inseparable. Inseparable to the end. Bottom line is that you two were close. We were pretty much like sisters. And you two were close to the point where you would share secrets? That's correct. Does this also mean that you were aware of her sexual relationship with Mr. Torres? Yes. Can you tell the court how old Mr. Torres was at the time when he was involved with Elvira? He was 22, and we already established that Elvira was 17 when she lost her life. Now you say that Devante was 22. In Mr. Torres' own words, Elvira seduced him, which began their affair. Was that what Elvira told you? Not at all. Elvira explained to me that Devante was the one who seduced her. But she knew that Elvira was underage and that Devante was a grown man with a family of his own. Why did you stay silent? Because Elvira begged me not to tell anyone. What made you decide to finally speak up after all these years? It was the fact that I figured out that Devante was the one who took Elvira's life. When Ben came to the beachfront at Theodosius's palace talking about what he heard Elvira scream the night she lost her life, it all made sense. What do you remember about the night that Elvira lost her life, Mrs. Mitchell? I remember being at Theodosius's palace that night. I noticed Devante leaving the hotel wearing his green suit. At the moment, I thought he needed fresh air, so I didn't think anything of it. When I see him come back, before I headed out of the hotel, I noticed that he wasn't wearing his green suit anymore. It's summertime and it's Florida, so for all these years, I just assumed that he took off his suit because he felt hot. Now I realized that he got rid of his suit because it must have had Elvira's blood on it. Objection. This is speculation. No further questions. Mrs. Mitchell, can you tell the court if Elvira was in a relationship while she had an affair with Mr. Torres? She was. And she was dating Udell Mitchell. The reason why you're Mrs. Mitchell today since you married Mr. Udell Mitchell, correct? Correct. I would imagine that Mr. Mitchell wouldn't have been happy knowing that his girlfriend was unfaithful to him. Did Elvira feel guilty when she first slept with Mr. Torres and admit to Mr. Mitchell that she cheated, or was the affair a continuous affair? It was continuous. But Elvira felt guilty for cheating on Udell. Because of her guilt, she ended up telling Udell that she cheated. Did that matter to your husband though? Did Mr. Mitchell end up taking Elvira back? No. Were you happy with that? Objection. Your Honor, this serves no relevance to the case whatsoever. Your Honor, Mrs. Mitchell is on the stand and she is certain that she saw my client walk out of the hotel to brutally take Elvira Russo's life. I think the jury deserves to feel confident that Mrs. Mitchell is a confident witness. Overruled. Can you answer the question, Mrs. Mitchell? Were you happy that your husband didn't take your best friend back? No, I wasn't happy about it because I knew how much they loved one another. Yet Elvira cheated on Mr. Mitchell with my client. Is it fair to say that Elvira didn't appreciate your husband? You tell me. I'm asking you the question, Mrs. Mitchell. Objection! Your Honor, she's badgering the witness. Your Honor, it's a simple question. Overruled. Her actions show that she didn't appreciate Udell, but again, Devante seduced her. Did Elvira know that sleeping with Mr. Torres was wrong? Yes, just like I'm sure that Mr. Torres knew it was wrong to cheat on his wife with a teenage girl. We already established that Elvira knew it was wrong to sleep with Mr. Torres. Since she knew it was wrong, does that also mean she was constantly dishonest with Mr. Mitchell when they were together? Yes. And when Mr. Mitchell found out that his girlfriend cheated, did you also admit to him that you knew she was sleeping with Devante? No, I didn't. And now you're married to him and have a daughter of your own. It sounds like you're holding on to that secret for years. Worked in your favor, Mrs. Mitchell. Objection! Once again, Your Honor, she is badgering the witness. Sustained. Tread lightly, Miss Drake. My apologies. Mrs. Mitchell, according to your testimony, you held on to the fact that Elvira was involved with my client. According to your testimony, Elvira was a dishonest young woman. Am I wrong? No. Mrs. Mitchell, I don't doubt that Elvira told you that Devante seduced her. But since she had a habit of lying, wouldn't it be fair to say that she lied about that? Isn't it possible that she's the one who seduced my client? You wretched, evil woman! How dare you desecrate my daughter's name? How dare you stomp on my daughter's name to protect that monster? You should be ashamed of yourself. Order in this court! Clarice, let's just step out for a bit, okay? If Devante is going to pay for what he did to Elvira, then you need to calm down. Mr. Russo, can you explain to the court how you're connected to the victim? Elvira Russo was my late aunt. Where were you the night your aunt lost her life? I was at my family home, the exact place where Elvira lost her life. She was watching me like she regularly did while my family was at Theodosius's palace. I was asleep for a moment until I heard Elvira screaming. She just screamed out of nowhere. No, actually, I could hear her arguing with someone. I just wasn't sure exactly who it was that she was arguing with. Could you hear what the argument was about? I couldn't. All I remember is Elvira arguing with someone, but I could pick apart her saying, "I don't want you." The next thing I know, she's screaming to the top of her lungs. I get out of bed, run downstairs, and found her. Now I realize that she was screaming for her life. You say that you heard Elvira scream the words, "I don't want you." What makes you so sure that she yelled those words to my client? It's the only thing which makes sense. Elvira regretted hurting Udell and was still in love with him. Mr. Russo, how exactly did you find out that Devante was sleeping with Elvira, and how are you so certain that she was still in love with Udell Mitchell? I received confirmation from Wanda ever since I found out Elvira cheated on Udell Mitchell all of those years ago. Can you tell the court how Elvira's passing affected you? How about you tell them? Mr. Russo, please lose your attitude and cooperate with Miss Drake. Finding my aunt screwed me up. How? It put my head in a dark place. Like depression? You can say that. Would you also say that going into depression landed you to become an addict? Objection, Your Honor, the witness's personal struggles have no relevance to the case. Your Honor, the witness was at the scene of the crime, and I believe it would do the court a favor to ensure that the witness is in sound mind now and was in sound mind then. Overruled. Did you turn to alcohol and other substances to deal with your pain? Yes. What of it? Are you aware of what that could do to your body and your brain? Just because I made stupid choices doesn't make me a stupid person. Mr. Russo, I've already warned you once. Alcohol and other substances, when used excessively, can alter reality, can it? That's right. So, who's to say that your memory wasn't just altered? After all, you were 5. It was 20 years ago, and you started using substances and drinking alcohol excessively down the line. Maybe you didn't know what you were hearing. Objection, this is speculation. No further questions. Mrs. Torres, how long have you been married to the defendant? For about 22 years. Were you aware that he was unfaithful to you with Elvira, who was also underage? I didn't find out until the beginning of the year. Did you ever expect that your husband would ever cheat on you? Never. So is it fair to say that there was a side to your husband which you never knew about? Almost like you were married to someone with a facade? Objection. He's leading the witness. I'm only trying to get the court to understand the sort of person the defendant is, and there's no better person to get this information from than his spouse. Overruled. Would you say that you never really knew who you were married to? That's exactly what I would say. Now, Mrs. Torres, the night when Elvira lost her life, did you notice your husband there all night? No, I didn't. Devante never even said a word when he left the hotel. He just walked out and came back in as if he never left. No further questions. Mrs. Torres, has my client ever mistreated you throughout your marriage? I wouldn't consider being unfaithful as treating me right, but has he ever raised his voice at you? No. Has he ever called you out of your name? He hasn't. Has he ever threatened to harm you, or did he ever lay a hand on you? No, he never did. Mrs. Torres, it is public knowledge that Devante was unfaithful to you with Elvira Russo. How did that make you feel? I felt betrayed. Knowing that my husband was unfaithful to me, all of those years hurt me and I lost all trust in him. To the point where you believe that he could take someone's life? His lover's life? That's correct. Mrs. Torres, has my client ever accused you of taking someone's life? He hasn't. Have you always been faithful to him? Mrs. Torres, have you always been faithful to your husband? Objection! Your Honor, this question serves no relevance to the case. The court deserves to know whether Mrs. Torres wants to see justice done or if she is only bitter because of her husband's betrayal. Overruled. Mrs. Torres, did you cheat on your husband? Yes or no? Yes. With whom? Objection, Your Honor. Not only is this irrelevant, but she's badgering the witness. Once again, this court needs to know whether Mrs. Torres's intentions for taking the stand are pure. Figuring out the identity of the person she was with can help determine that. Overruled. Mrs. Torres, who were you unfaithful with? It was, I cheated on Devante with, it was Isidore Russo. The brother of Elvira Russo, correct? That is correct. What happened after you slept with Isidore Russo? Harley, please. Did you end up pregnant? Mrs. Torres, did Isidore Russo get you pregnant? Yes. What happened to the baby, Mrs. Torres? In the beginning of the year, you found the monster who took Elvira Russo's promising life. That monster is in this courtroom, and his name is Devante Torres. Now I realized that he got rid of his suit because it must have had Elvira's blood on it. I get out of bed, run downstairs, and found her. Now I realize that she was screaming for her life. Mrs. Torres, who were you unfaithful with? It was, I cheated on Devante with, it was Isidore Russo. Mrs. Torres, did Isidore Russo get you pregnant? Yes. Mrs. Torres, what happened to the baby you conceived with Isidore Russo? Did you give it up for adoption? No. Did you miscarry? I didn't. Did you terminate the pregnancy? Yes. Why would you terminate the pregnancy, Mrs. Torres? You certainly have all of the resources to take care of a child. After the termination, you had 2 healthy girls. Did you terminate the pregnancy for health reasons? I nor the baby had any health issues. Then why did you terminate the pregnancy, Mrs. Torres? Why did you decide not to carry the baby to term? It was to save my marriage and keep my family together. Sounds like a selfless reason to not carry Isidore Russo's child to term. But again, Isidore Russo wasn't your husband. Devante Torres is your husband, and you betrayed him just like he betrayed you. Did you tell Mr. Torres that you were unfaithful with Mr. Russo? After I found out that he cheated on me with Elvira, yes, I told him. And did he think any different of you, Mrs. Torres? Isn't it fair to say that you turned on the man who loved you with all of his heart? He did not love me with all of his heart. He betrayed me, betrayed the family we raised together. Yes, I was unfaithful. Yes, I got pregnant and terminated the pregnancy once I found out. My choices don't erase the fact that Devante Torres took the life of his teenage lover. Doesn't erase the fact that he betrayed me and that I had to sacrifice my own child to stay with a man who never truly loved me. Devante Torres is a liar, an adulterer, and a monster who deserves to be punished for his actions. This trial will continue on a later date. Court dismissed. Mom, are you okay? Mom, it's okay. None of us think differently of you at all. Nichelle's right. We're still here for you and support you no matter what. Right, Ulissa? Ulissa, Mom, how could you do something like this? You can't be serious. Just because you found God all of a sudden, you think it gives you the right to judge our mother? Ulissa, don't you see how broken down Mom is about all of this? Imagine how our brother or sister felt when Mom didn't even want to keep them. Brother or sister? Please. The gender wasn't even determined when Mom had the procedure. But there was still a life and it was taken. Now I had to live the rest of my life knowing that both of my parents took the lives of two innocent people. At this point, I don't even know what's worse. Dad taking Elvira's life or Mom taking the life of our sibling. Dad, are you okay? I'll meet you all outside. I need some air. Not only did Devante take the life of my daughter, but his wife took the life of my unborn grandchild. I need to give Isabel a piece of my mind. Clarice, don't. What do you mean? That woman and her child have been living under our roof when she knew that she got rid of our son's child. And we'll deal with it, but not right now. Hey everyone. What are you doing here, Vivian? Good job, Miss Drake. I knew I made the right call asking you to be my lawyer. Well, being your lawyer makes me feel sick. I don't see how. If you're not feeling well, then you didn't get anything from me. I'm not playing around with you, Devante. You made me force your wife to tell all of Valley Park about the most intimate, difficult decision of her life. Ben, why aren't you by your family's side right now? Because I need to let you know that I'm handing over Elvira's diary to you. Just stop it. Now you're just overreacting. Mom had every right to have this procedure. It's her body, Ulissa. As to why Dad felt like he needed to use it against Mom, I don't know. But what was inside of Mom's body, Nichelle? Another body, another life. It was barely even a body. Mom's not the monster you think she is because she didn't take the life of a human being. Enough. Both of you. No, it wasn't fully developed, but I consider what I had as a baby, and I'll never get the chance to know my baby. Do you see what you've done? I'm really sorry if my being here upsets any of you. Don't be ridiculous, Vivian. It's good for you to be here. The thing is that you caught us at a bad time. As you can see, this trial has made my family feel a mix of emotions. I completely understand. I'm lost. Who exactly are you? Vivian is Esidore's intern at Russo Jewelers. Like my father told you, Vivian, I don't mind you being here, but why exactly did you come? Don't you think your son deserved to know that he could have had a little brother or sister? What Isabel did was no one else's business. That's where we disagree. I had every right to know if my wife was gonna have another man's baby. I'm grateful that she told me about it. Because she thought you were in a coma. Regardless, I found out anyway. And I commend Isabel for doing what she did. Really, I'm relieved that she got rid of that bastard all those years ago. Isn't it a little bit too late for you to hand me over the diary? The trial isn't over, so it's not late at all. What made you decide to finally hand the diary over to me? We already know who took Elvira's life. The diary would just prove how much of a liar Devante is. Ma? Pacho, I just need some time to get myself together. Ma, you know I can't just walk away when I see you in so much pain. Look, I get that Ulissa has her opinion, but she's in shock just like everyone else. Ulissa still loves you just like Nichelle and I do. So you terminated your pregnancy. You only did what you felt was right at the time. Honestly, I told myself that I made the right decision for so many years. The reason I felt like it was the right decision is because not keeping Isidor's baby meant that our family would stay together, but our family ended up crumbling anyways, which means that your younger sibling lost a chance at life over nothing. No matter how much I wanted to forget, I never could. Ma, don't beat yourself up over this. You had a decision to make, and I don't think it was an easy decision for you to make. After finding out about all that your father did, it should have been an easy decision. For the sake of your younger sibling, who will never know, it should have been an easy decision. Isn't it already obvious as to why Vivian's here, Zio? Vivian came here to support us, to support the family. You've all been waiting decades to see the person who took Elvira's life stand trial. Those who work at Russo Jewelers should support you. Thank you so much for having our backs, Vivian. But don't you think you're doing a bit too much for someone who is only an intern? Like I told you before, Mrs. Russo, I'm not like most interns. Which causes me to ask what you're seeking from my family. Do you feel good about yourself for getting me to grill the mother of your children? Don't try to be empathetic for her. Clearly, Isidore still had feelings for Isabel while he was married to you. Sure, they didn't sleep together when you and Isidore were married, but it's clear that Isidore never loved you as much as he loved my wife. Besides, Isabel is willing to let the father of her children go to prison. And how exactly do you think making an example out of her like that would keep you as a free man? You're the lawyer, Harley. That's for you to figure out. Terry, are you really gonna leave without saying goodbye? Let's just hope that the court doesn't think Elvira's diary is fabricated, which is why it's best to have it tested. And how do you want me to explain to the court and to the public how I got this diary? You'll figure something out. But you never even explained to me how you obtained it. Where did you even get the diary from, since it's been hidden for so long? I got it from your wife. Clarice, you have no reason to question Vivian like this. Vivian, I am so sorry. We just have to process everything that transpired today. But thank you so much for your support. We really do appreciate it. If you must know, Clarice, everything your family has is something that I have every right to obtain. Thank you for coming to support me, Terry. No problem. Sorry for coming in late. No worries. You being here is what matters the most. I'm just relieved that I didn't have to take the stand today, especially when things got so heated so quickly. I understand that taking the stand makes you nervous, but I'm looking forward to it. After everything that's happened so far, I have a good feeling about the trial's outcome. Correction, ex-wife. And why would Terry have Elvira's diary for all of these years? Start reading, Finnegan. You'll get the answers to all of your questions. Did you terminate the pregnancy? Yes. Mom had every right to have this procedure. It's her body, Ulissa. But what was inside of Mom's body, Nisha? Another body, another life. Associating with my business isn't for the weak. And that's not a trait of mine, Adaku. Does this mean you'll do business with me? Ma, don't beat yourself up over this. You had a decision to make, and I don't think it was an easy decision for you to make. After finding out about all that your father did, it should have been an easy decision. For the sake of your younger sibling, who will never know, it should have been an easy decision. Devante, I'm about to ask you something, and I expect the truth. When have I ever been dishonest with you, Adaku? What is it you want to know? Does your son know about our connection? I see you nor your daughter came home after leaving the courthouse. After what happened at court, I knew I couldn't come here last night. So I stayed at a hotel while Ulissa stayed with friends. Is Isidore home? He isn't. And you shouldn't be home either. I want you out, Isabel. Harley. Isidore, what are you doing here on this nice sunny day? Cut the crap and tell me how long you knew that Isabel was once pregnant with my child. I really appreciate you and your family letting me stay the night, Vanessa. It's no problem, Ulissa. But where do you and your mom plan to stay if you two aren't going to stay at the Russos anymore? Honestly, I don't want to be with my mom just as much as I don't want to stay with my dad. Not after I found out my mother took the life of her own child. I haven't told Pacho about our connection, Adaku, just like I never told my daughters about how we're connected. Except after you spoke with Nichelle, you made her realize that I knew you. Have you explained to me when your father entrusted you to work with my family? I began working with your family when my father was confident that I would do whatever it took to secure my family's legacy. You don't believe that Pacho shares that same vision? I know that he does, but I'm unsure if he's ready to make certain difficult decisions. Anyway, where is this coming from? Clarice, for years, you and I have always been fond of each other. I don't want that to end. Tough luck. Whatever respect I had for you passed away as soon as I found out you got rid of my unborn grandchild. As a wife and as a mother, you need to understand that whatever choices I made was to protect my family. And my own family was sacrificed at the expense of yours. How could you hate Isidore that much, Isabel? Especially after all he's done for you. I don't hate Isidore. You sure could have fooled me, since you got rid of his child. Because of confidentiality, I can't tell you the specifics. What I can assure you is that I never knew about it throughout our entire marriage. That's obvious. I know for sure you would have done anything you could to demonize Isabel in my eyes. Did you actually come all the way here to ask if I knew Isabel terminated her pregnancy? I came here to tell you how you should be ashamed of yourself for crushing her soul in court. I'm really sorry for what you're going through right now, Ulissa. I really can't imagine how it's like to be in your position right now. At the moment, I really envy you, Vanessa. At least you have two parents who serve the Lord and don't have the same sort of baggage that my parents have. We don't get to choose our parents. God knew what he was doing when he placed me with my parents, and he knew what he was doing when he placed you with yours. Which is why I'm so conflicted. I get that my parents will always be my parents, but I haven't ignored the fact that my dad took Elvira Russo's life. Do you actually expect me to ignore the fact that my mother took the life of my unborn sibling? You're standing trial for taking Elvira's life. I don't need the reminder, but it sounds like you should be reminded that you should have faith that I won't be convicted. But Ben Russo still has Elvira's diary, which can reveal the truth about your affair with her. He does, but he won't let go of the only piece of his aunt that he has left. Are you sure about that? Yes, I'm sure, because Ben would have brought it up when he was on the stand the other day. Since the diary will never see the light of day, that means I've already received victory. Do you at least plan to train Pacho to handle all of your business in the near future? Believe me, Clarice, if I could take back my decision, then I would. And you expect me to feel bad for you? I'm glad your decision doesn't bring you peace. I truly hope that it keeps you up at night. For as long as I've known you, your Catholic beliefs meant everything to you. So the whole world can find grace except for me. I've known your family too, Isabel. You're also supposed to be Catholic, but clearly you tossed aside everything you've been taught when you got rid of my son's child. You're just as bad as that husband of yours. And here I thought that you would be furious at Isabel for not carrying your child to term. In fact, I'm even more surprised that you never thanked me for birthing your only child. You were my wife, Harley. It was your duty, as my wife, to give me an heir. The audacity! It was my duty, Essidor? No, Essidor, it wasn't my duty. When I took those vows with you, I vowed to be your life partner, not your baby-making machine. But I think I see what's going on here. You resent me. What are you talking about? Not only do you resent me, Essidor, but you're not furious with Isabel at all. In fact, you're heartbroken. It breaks your heart to know that the only woman you ever loved refused to give birth to your child. Of course not, Ulissa. What your mom did isn't something that you can put in the back of your head or ignore. But there is a difference. How is there a difference, Vanessa? My mom was carrying a life inside of her and got rid of it. Yes, she did. According to my parents, from what they saw in court, your mom was broken up by her decision. On top of that, she admitted to what she's done. As for your dad, he still refuses to own up to what he's done. But that's the thing. When my dad was arrested for taking over his life, my mom still kept quiet about what she did. And I can't speak for your mom, but I'm gonna assume that she only kept quiet because she was ashamed. Let me handle that, Adaku. In the meantime, just stay positive and know that you and I will continue to work together for many years to come. I am nothing like Devante. Devante took my only daughter away from me. You took Essidor's child from him. Overall, you two mercilessly took from my family. What do you want me to do, Clarice? I want you to pack your things, leave my house, and never come near my son again. You know that I'm right, Essidor. You came here to unleash all of your pain and anger onto me, the only woman who ever carried your child. You want to pour out your anger on me because the only child you have was never conceived in love. Thankfully, Alan isn't here to listen to any of this. I'm warning you, Harley. If you ever hurt Isabel the way you did in court, then I will come after you. You will experience much more pain than the pain you felt when you lost custody of Alan all of those years ago. But my dad stayed silent to you, Vanessa, because he would have went to prison. As for your mom, she can't go to prison for what she did. She must have stayed silent because she was afraid that you would react the way that you're reacting right now. Valid. But both of my parents took innocent lives. I might as well stay with my father at Theodosius' palace. Your father is standing trial and could go to prison. As for your mother, the choice she made is something that she'll regret for as long as she lives. Both of your parents need Jesus to save them. But Jesus saved you, Ulissa. You're the only one in your family who can point them to repentance and to help them find forgiveness in Jesus Christ. Don't abandon them, Ulissa. It looks like you two have a visitor. Who? You'll have to see for yourself. Max? Hey, Vanessa. I understand that taking the stand makes you nervous, but I'm looking forward to it. After everything that's happened so far, I have a good feeling about the trial's outcome. That's why I'm here, to warn you. Warn me about what? The Russos are coming after your family's business, and I know what their next move is. As to why Dad felt like he needed to use it against Mom, I don't know. Max? Hey, Vanessa. It's so great to see you, Max. I've missed you so much. I can tell by the way you're crushing me. When did you get out of rehab? Earlier today. I was at my family's estate, but noticed that you and your mom weren't staying there anymore. I'll explain that later, but my mom and I had to move out. It's good to see you too, Vanessa. How have you been? Nichelle, this is a surprise. I know, and it's really nice to finally meet you. Sorry I didn't get the chance to when Zeke and I were seeing each other. Better late than never. Is Zeke home? Nichelle, what you doing here? Why did you ask me to stop by, Pacho? And can we make this quick? My family is trying to get a welcome home dinner set for my cousin, and I'm not one to pass up on a good meal. Isn't it obvious? I came here to hand you Theodosius' palace. What's this important update you have for me, Terry? And I sure hope this is good news. Devante asked me to take the stand to provide him with a character statement. I should be asking you since you're the one who has been in rehab all of this time. I've got to admit that it was a nice facility. What I didn't like was knowing that the same people who worked with me were the same people who worked with my older brother when he was at rehab. It feels good to finally be out though. Now I'm just being placed into counseling for everything that happened before you and JJ found me. Again, Vanessa, I'm really sorry that you and JJ found me like that. What matters is that you're healthy and that you're alive. In fact, I should be apologizing to you. You already have, remember? Right now, I just want to put what Yvette put me through behind me. In fact, I'm trying to put my old self behind me. Your old self? What do you mean, Max? When I was in rehab, I gave my life to Jesus. I got saved. I'll leave you two alone to talk. Is everything okay, Nichelle? My dad is turning into someone who I don't recognize. I felt it when I saw Adaku Denjuma in his hospital room and when he got his lawyer to force my mother to admit that she terminated her pregnancy a long time ago. Bottom line, Zeke, all I want is the truth. The truth about what? Do you think my dad took Elvira Russo's life? What are you playing at, Pacho? Is that not what you want? Are you not coming after my family's hotel? What makes you think that I want your crummy hotel? The hotel wasn't so crummy before. Not before my father was charged with taking your aunt's life. And you're staying right by your dad's side, showing the entire world that you're just as bad as he is. It also shows that you're not fit to run a successful company. So what did you tell Devante? He really gave me no choice but to speak on his favor. What do you mean he gave you no choice? Did the man put a gun to your head or something? Since we're both aware that he took your sister's life, it should be clear that he could have pointed a gun in my head. Maybe we can use his request against him. What? You got saved, Max? Praise the Lord. I wanted to thank you, Ulissa. You're the one who gifted me with the Bible you bought. To be honest, I really had no desire to read it at first. Then I began getting bored and found myself reading it. When I read about Jesus, I recognized that no matter how many times I do good or try to do good, I'll never reach a perfect relationship with God, and that I really don't deserve to spend eternity with Him. That's when I repented of my sins and I asked Jesus to save me. Now I feel closer to God than I ever had before. None of the confessions, mass, rosary prayers, or even being confirmed ever made me feel this close to God than I do now. You were right, Vanessa. All this time I was so focused on being a good Catholic boy and relying on my own works. I didn't even think about having a personal relationship with Jesus. I realized that it wasn't my infant baptism that washed my sins away, but it was Jesus who paid for my sins on the cross. My point wasn't to win an argument, Max. I thank God that you finally see the truth. Knowing that you're officially a born-again Christian brings me so much joy. Why does my opinion matter? Zeke, it's not that I'm looking for an opinion. What you know about my father, what you refuse to tell me, is what will determine the answer that I'm looking for. Are you even gonna believe whatever answer I tell you? Ever since you ended things with me, you always made it known how much you don't trust me. Look, if you just answer honestly, then some of the trust I lost in you might just be restored. Just tell me the truth, Zeke. Do you think that my dad took Elvira's life or that he's even capable of it? There ain't no doubt in my mind that your dad took that girl's life. Who I stand beside doesn't determine my ability to run a business. For your information, my online retail store is still doing well. But if you end up running Theodosius' palace, then you'll be running 2 different businesses. That definitely wouldn't be easy. Again, my online retail store is only growing. As for Theodosius' palace, I grew up here. I know how everything works, which means I'll be fine. As for you, Alan, you haven't even run a hotel, let alone a business. And you think you can take over just like that? On top of that, are you really so cold-hearted that you would take away the livelihood of my mother and my sisters? Your family deserves to lose everything after what your father took from my family. Do you think the public would agree with you on that? How do you plan to turn this around on Devante? You don't have to speak well about him in court. What do you mean, Isidore? That's why Devante asked me to be a character witness. Come on, Terry. You're a doctor, for crying out loud. It shouldn't be that hard to follow my thought process. What I'm trying to tell you is that you can tell the court how Devante mistreated you. But he didn't. I don't care. Tell the court that Devante mistreated you. It's a strange feeling hearing you connect me with something joyful. Seeing a lost soul come to Christ is something to rejoice over, Max. Look, I get that our interactions haven't always been great, but I'm open to having a friendship with you if you're willing. Do you only want to become my friend because I just became a born-again Christian like you? I want to be your friend because I like to know the Max who committed his life to Christ and to know what I missed out on before. Deal. See you later, friend. Why do you think my dad is guilty? Just take my word for it and stop asking questions. Zeke, whatever my father has done, he's not gonna hurt me. That don't mean he can protect you from Adaku, Nichelle. So my dad and Adaku Denjuma are doing shady work together. Nichelle, just stop asking questions. You know what? Get out. Get out of here, Nichelle. What did you just do? I recorded our conversation. Maybe I can release it to the world and see if they agree with you. You can't do this. It's my phone, Alan. I can do whatever I want with it. But I can delete everything as long as you back off for good. Now to do the same thing with Adaku. You can't expect me to commit perjury and make myself Devante's target. That's exactly what I expect you to do. As for being Devante's target, you don't have to be as long as he goes to prison. Besides, it's not like breaking the law for the so-called greater good is anything new to you, Terry. On top of that, you don't even believe in God, so lying on the Bible shouldn't faze you. And what if Devante doesn't get convicted? Will you offer me protection? You just better hope that Devante does get convicted. And why would Terry have Elvira's diary for all of these years? Start reading, Finnegan. You'll get the answers to all of your questions. I want to be your friend because I like to know the Max who committed his life to Christ and to know what I missed out on before. Deal. See you later, friend. So my dad and Adaku Denjuma are doing shady work together. Nichelle, just stop asking questions. You know what? Get out. Get out of here, Nichelle. Nichelle, what are you doing here? Why are you not at school? Because I won't be able to focus knowing that I've been wrong about Dad this entire time. Thanks for letting me take a day off for school after I got back. We all want you to get adjusted well. Your mother's right, Maximilian. You came back in such positive spirits. We want you to stay that way. Thank you, No. But you also stated that there was something important you needed to tell us? Yeah, but I don't think you're all gonna like it. What's wrong, Maximilian? Nothing's wrong, Nona. In fact, everything is great. The thing is that I decided not to attend Mass anymore. In fact, I've decided to leave the Catholic Church. Why am I here, Finnegan? Is there something that you'd like to confess to me? Please, I have nothing to hide from you. Are you sure about that, Terry? Did you hear that Max Russo is back from rehab? I did, but how did you find that out, Keith? That doesn't matter. How does Vanessa feel about him being back? What are you going on about, Nichelle? You believe Dad took Elvira's life. Yes, I absolutely do believe it. When Dad got arrested, I couldn't imagine him doing something so terrible to another person. Just like I never expected him to allow you to suffer on the stand like that. If he can be that cold, Mom, then I'm not sure if I should keep standing by his side. What do you mean you're leaving the church, Maximilian? Have you lost your faith just like your brother Benedict? That's not it, Nona. In fact, I gained it when I was in rehab. What I'm trying to explain is that what I was taught growing up didn't fulfill me. But I'm still gonna attend church, it just won't be a Catholic one. Don't tell me that you're attending a Baptist church to impress that Dorval girl. Nona, my decision has nothing to do with Vanessa. What could another church do for you that the Catholic Church can't do? It can help me to know God on a deeper personal level. I don't want to just serve God, Nona. I want to have a relationship with Him. How did you get a hold of that? Terry, you sure seem troubled for someone who has nothing to hide. Enough. It's clear that you read the diary. Now what, Finnegan? Are you gonna charge me? That's up to you. Vanessa and Max settled their differences, especially since Max isn't Catholic anymore and got saved. And you don't think Max is fooling you guys? He might just be saying that to get close to Vanessa. According to what I know, Max made a clear profession of faith, Keith. Vanessa's certain that Max is more concerned about getting closer to Jesus than getting closer to her. But Max overdosed on substances, causing you and Vanessa to find him. You two just forgive him like that? Nichelle, you can still love your father despite all that he's done. Do you still love him? Did you ever love Dad? I fell in love with the man I thought he was. When I found out that man never truly existed, I mourned him. But how could I still love Dad? He's a monster who lied about his part in Elvira Russo's passing. How am I supposed to be sure that he even loves me? Your father is a sick man, but I never doubted his love for you or your brother and sister. I'm not too sure, Mom. Not after Dad lied to me about Elvira and Adaku Danjuma. What business does your father have with Adaku? This is the second time I'm hearing of this. Are you actually telling me that my relationship with God means nothing? Nona, I'm not trying to hurt you at all. What I'm trying to tell you is that everything I've grown up with felt like some sort of checklist. I've been trying to please God this whole time when Jesus paid it all on the cross. I want to follow Jesus, Nona, not the Pope. How exactly do you plan to follow Jesus if you plan to forsake all that you've been taught? Clarice, clearly Max isn't changing his mind. Keeping him in the church isn't something that we can force him to do. Heidi's right, Mom. At least, Max still wants to hold on to some sort of religion and morals. He's almost 18 and it's time for him to choose his own path in life. Do you both hear yourselves? Maybe if you took this seriously, then you two wouldn't have decided to break your vows with whorish behavior. Clarice, now you're just letting your emotions control your tongue. Heidi and Gianni are the parents. Let them worry about Max's future in the church. As for you, I think you need a breath of fresh air. Mom, Dad, thanks for having my back. Always. You know, if you really want to know more about my newfound faith, you too can start going to church with me. And be responsible for your grandmother having a heart attack? I don't think so, but I will try to see if I can help your grandfather in getting her to cool off. Dad, I'm really glad that you're getting along with Mom and allowing her to stay home. I hate to burst your bubble, son, especially after all you've been through, but your mother's stay here is only temporary. And why can't she stay home for good, Dad? How dare you blackmail me after everything you've done to hurt me? This isn't about hurting you, Terry. This is about justice. I didn't help end Dante Russo's life. You did. But you told me that it was up to me whether I get charged or not. What do you want, Finnegan? I could rip out the pages concerning Dante Russo's passing only if you agree to joint custody of our son. You've got to remember exactly why Max overdosed to begin with. Yvette lied on him and it caused Max to be tortured online. In fact, Vanessa and I should be asking Max to forgive us. I don't see him at school today. Maybe he's not man enough to face Yvette or anyone else here. Or maybe he's still adjusting after getting back from rehab. Keeve, why are you so bent on painting Max as some sort of villain? When Dad was in the hospital, Adaku came in to see him. Oh my goodness. Nichelle, are you okay? She didn't threaten me or hurt me, Mom. I should have known that Dad had a dark side then and there. How can I be this stupid? You're not. It's not stupid for you to love your father. You're just someone who is hurt by the father you love. Your mother really hurt me, Max. Dad, to be fair, you hurt Mom too. On top of that, Ben and I hurt both of you. That's different, Max. Your mother and I will always love you and your brother. Does Ben know that? You also hurt him when it came to Quinlan. Dad, I know that you love me and Ben, but you and Mom made vows to stay together for life. Your mother and I also made vows to stay faithful. Well, if you don't love Mom anymore, then I guess it's something I'll have to accept. But if you still love Mom, don't you think you should still be able to give her another chance? This is exactly the sort of behavior I wanted to keep Keeve away from. As a police commissioner, I don't really feel comfortable knowing that my son would be living full-time with a mother who took the life of another person. I bet you're enjoying this. Terry, all of this could have been avoided if you weren't so bent on keeping Keeve away from me. Do we have a deal? You're gonna regret this one day, Finnegan. You'll regret this. I'll take that as a yes. JJ, I'm only concerned about you and Vanessa. Vanessa and I will be fine. Max is a cool guy. Vanessa and I want to know him more. See you later, Keeve. I won't let Max take Vanessa away from me. I won't. When Dad got arrested, I couldn't imagine him doing something so terrible to another person. Just like I never expected him to allow you to suffer on the stand like that. If he can be that cold, Mom, then I'm not sure if I should keep standing by his side. As for your mom, she can't go to prison for what she did. She must have stayed silent because she was afraid that you would react the way that you're reacting right now. Valid. But both of my parents took innocent lives. I might as well stay with my father at Theodosius' palace. Does your son know about our connection? But if you still love Mom, don't you think you should still be able to give her another chance? Hello, Ulissa. Are you still going to avoid me today, or are we gonna talk? It's been hard to look at you lately, Mom, but I'm ready to face you now. Nichelle, you've been in a sour mood ever since the trial. On top of that, it feels like you've been avoiding me. Is something about the trial concerning you? Because I can assure you that everything will be okay. Dad, I'm in a sour mood because you weaponized Mom's personal, difficult choice against her. Why? Thank you for setting up this meeting with me, Adaku. Before we begin this partnership, we need to set some ground rules. How's my mom holding up? Your mother's praying to Saint Anthony because she feels like Ben and Max have lost their way. Speaking of Max, he certainly loves having you home. Why wouldn't he? I am his mother after all. And for Max's sake, I'm in no rush to leave, as long as you don't try to sabotage it. Were you ever gonna tell us that you terminated your pregnancy all those years ago? Ever since I got it done, the plan was to put it behind me forever. The thing was that it wasn't something I could ever forget. Does that mean you actually did love the child you got rid of? Because if you did, then what made you keep Nichelle and I, but decide not to keep your other baby? Trust me, Nichelle, it pained me to see your mother in that much pain. If it pained you that much, Dad, then why did you let it happen? Things get out of our control in court. You gotta trust me on this. No, Dad, trusting you is exactly what tore this family apart. I'm listening. What are your ground rules? You don't get to dictate what product I sell on the beachfront, and you don't let the employees in on what I do with my business. Deal. But since you mentioned the beachfront, I can't help but think about the fatal drink overdose during spring break. Were you behind that? I didn't target that young man, but I will admit that it was my product. From the sound of it, you've been selling your product at Theodosius' Palace for a while. You're saying that I would sabotage your stay here, Heidi? Are you forgetting that you're the one who sabotaged your place in this family 20 years ago? Creeping with Finnegan Burke? Gianni, what happened? Happened. I regret it. I wish I can change this, but I can't. Can you say the same thing about Quinlan? I mean, you realize that you couldn't have a future with the girl. Just keep in mind that Quinlan would have never entered the picture if you were just faithful. I made my choice because I was afraid. What were you so afraid of, Mom? Pacho was just a baby around that time, Yulissa. If Devante had any doubts that I was carrying his baby and found out that I was carrying Isidor's baby, then I was worried that your father would have divorced me, forcing Pacho to grow up in a broken home. So you sacrificed the baby in your womb to keep Pacho happy? I'm just trying to explain everything. At the time, it was easier to think about the baby I already knew and loved rather than the baby I couldn't put a face or even a name to. Dad cheated on you around that same time, Mom. Maybe he would have forgiven you and helped raise Isidor's baby. Or maybe Isidor would have helped you out if your worst fears came true. I wasn't thinking about all of that then, Yulissa. At the time, I didn't know that your father was sleeping with Elvira behind my back. On top of that, I couldn't hurt your father by telling him that I cheated on him with another man, my ex. I wish things could have been different, but they aren't. For the rest of my life, I'll have to live with the fact that I sacrificed my baby to keep your father happy. Who got to you, Nisha? Your mother? Your sister? Neither of them. It was you who turned me against you. Your actions at court made everything clear to me. Dad, what made you snap that night? Why did you have to take Elvira's life so violently? Nothing made me snap because I didn't do it. Just like you didn't really know Adaku Denjuma like that, right? Dad, I'm not as stupid as I look. I don't see why you can't know the truth. The truth about what? Our families have been in business together ever since my father rose to power. You're kidding me. I'm not. Guess making smart business deals is in my blood. But why wouldn't my father tell me this? He felt like you weren't ready. For a moment, I was worried that I would lose Theodosius' Palace as a spot to sell my product if your father did go down for Elvira Russo's passing. Once he goes to prison, then you can prove him wrong. What makes you so certain that my father's going to end up in prison? Of course. Make me the villain while you refuse to take accountability. You should know all about that, Heidi, since you plan to take your secret affair to the grave. Yes, I did plan to keep it a secret for as long as I could. What does that mean to you? That she wanted me to live the rest of my life as a laughingstock? No. Does it not make you consider the fact that I never would have chosen Finnegan over you? Heidi, if that were the case, then you never would have fallen for his advances towards you. A woman who should have been committed to her husband and the father of her sons. I'll regret it for as long as I live, Gianni. I'm so sorry for hurting you like this. Hurting our family the way I have is something that I'll always be ashamed of. As if your words mean anything anymore. Okay, Gianni, what words do you have for me? Have you stopped loving me? Just say the words and I promise to sign the divorce papers and move on. Mom, I'm never gonna accept the choice you made all those years ago. That makes it two of us. Baby, terminating the pregnancy has given me nightmares. It probably always will. I truly thought I was doing the right thing, but now I realize that it was a mistake. A mistake I can never take back or ever make up for. Guess we'll just have to accept that we can't rewrite history. Now we just need to figure out how we'll move on from here. Thank you for saying that, Ulissa. When you decided to have this close relationship with God, I was more driven to take the secret to the grave. One thing I didn't want was for you to lose your trust in me or for your love for me to go away. Mom, my love for Dad never went away. Despite everything he's done, of course I never stopped loving you, just like I know you never stopped loving me. Let me get that. Essador, what are you doing here? Isn't it obvious? We need to talk. I never thought you were stupid, Nisha. That's funny, since you wanted me to fall for all of your lies this whole time. Now what? Since you think I'm this monster, do you plan to leave and stay with your mother? This is my home. If you're uncomfortable knowing what I know about you, then I guess you'll have to throw me out. I would never lay a finger on you. And I'll never leave my home. Whether you go to prison or get away with what you did, you'll have to face the fact that I know what you did and that I'm ashamed to be your daughter. I'm sorry to say this, but your father has been unlikable lately. I feel like the jury will sense that and make their conclusion. I've stood by my father this whole time. Did he ever confess to you about his part in Elvira's passing? Whatever is spoken between your father and I stays between your father and I. Just like how I didn't tell your father that you and I will be working together. Since I'm keeping quiet, I expect you not to let your father in on what you know. That can be done. I'm looking forward to doing business with you, Adaku. Joke's on you, lady, because my father isn't the only one going to prison. Max wants you to stay. I didn't ask you if Max wants me to stay. I asked you if you still love me. Well, I still love you, Gianni. Maybe if you won't take my word for it, then I'll just show you that I still love you. I won't let Max take Vanessa away from me. I won't. Essador, what are you doing here? Isn't it obvious? We need to talk. Since I'm keeping quiet, I expect you not to let your father in on what you know. That can be done. I'm looking forward to doing business with you, Adaku. Joke's on you, lady, because my father isn't the only one going to prison. I doubt we have anything to say to one another, Essador. If we had nothing to talk about, then I wouldn't be standing here, Isabel. Were you ever going to tell me that you were pregnant with my child? It sure is going to take a lot of getting used to seeing Max attend our church. The more you see Max, and the closer you two become as friends, the more you'll get used to it. Even calling Max a friend isn't something I thought I'd catch myself saying when the year started. Look, Max, I'm glad you're finding your own path in life, but I'm still keeping my distance from religion. But the church I'm going to is different from how we grew up. I'm not changing my mind. Who is it? Oh, sorry, I didn't know you had anyone in here. And the recording has Adaku confessing to supplying substances and working with my father to sell substances at Theodosius' palace. Thank you for all you've done, Pacho. Not only will your father go down for taking Elvira Russo's life, but the Danjuma organization will finally be dismantled. Are you going to go off on me like your mother did before I moved out of the estate? My mother didn't even tell me that she spoke to you before you left. She sure had a lot to say. Well, I'm not here to scold you, Isabel. I find it hard to believe since I got rid of your heir. Can you not think the worst of me? I wouldn't have seen our child together as just some heir. Why couldn't you come to me the moment you found out you were pregnant? Life is full of surprises, Vanessa. Max giving his life to Jesus is considered a good surprise. I still regret only seeing Max as an annoying guy who wanted my number. Jesus sacrificed his life on the cross for Max too. I should have prayed for Max's salvation then, instead of trying to figure out ways to ignore him. The former things have passed away. Behold, all things become new. Now you two can focus on building a beneficial friendship. Hey, Dad. Hey, Papa. Mom, look what Dad's got for you. Said Papu Mamau. Then who's it for? Poppy and I found it on the doorstep. It's meant for you, Vanessa. Since you see me with my brother, then it sounds like you get the hint. Sorry for interrupting. It's good to see you out of rehab, Max. Thanks. Thanks to Zeke for giving you that stuff, which made you end up in rehab to begin with. Too soon, Ben. Look, Quinlan, I doubt you came here for nothing. I'll leave you two to say whatever you need to say. See you later, Ben. My brother should still be here. You should have been the one who left. The last thing I wanted to do was cause trouble. In fact, I came here to tell you that Adaku is going down today. Why am I here, Devante? My daughter has lost her trust in me all because you couldn't stay away from my hospital room. This is why you call me? Did Nichelle tell you that I was the reason she lost trust in you? She knows about your reputation and was able to put two and two together. And you haven't considered that she just figured out that you weren't as innocent as you claimed in regard to Elvira Russo? Hey, I'm talking to you. Shut up. Excuse me? I said shut up, Devante. I'm getting word that my house is being raided. I don't have to explain myself to you, Isidore. What I need you to know is that I would have never turned you away if you told me that you got pregnant. Never. Isidore, I knew you would never deny our child. Then why didn't you tell me, Isabel? Devante was my husband. He and I already had a son who needed us. The one-night stand you and I shared was never supposed to happen. Most of all, I wasn't supposed to have another baby, not by you. But you did end up getting pregnant. Not to sound like a buffoon or ignorant, but I'm sure your genes are stronger. You most likely could have passed off our child as Devante's. At the time, I couldn't hurt him by fooling him into believing that he was raising and loving a child that didn't belong to him. So the better choice was to just get rid of our child and keep it from me forever? From me? From who? It didn't say. Mais où pensez-vous qu'on est Kimon? Max Russo. No way. Vanessa, you know I don't believe in coincidences. The moment that boy comes back, this rose shows up, Dad, Max and I agreed that we would be friends, just friends. I don't know the boy's heart, Vanessa. Neither do you. But God knows Max's heart. If he did send you this rose, it makes me look at him sideways about his conversion. Jeremiah, like you said, we don't even know who the rose even came from. We can't just go on making assumptions, especially assumptions about Max's spiritual condition so soon. And that's why I'm gonna call Max and settle this. And you couldn't just send me a message? Would you have even replied or read it? Now that I know, you can get out. I'm gonna go soon. I also wanted to mention how I didn't get the chance to speak with you at the courthouse. The smartest thing you've done in months. Ben, I want to know how you're holding up with the trial. I don't care what you want, Quinlan. Most of all, I'm sick and tired of pretending like you care about my feelings. Your house is being raided? What for? What do you think you're doing, Adaku? I'm gonna ask you this again, and if you value your life, then you will tell me the truth. If you think that I turned you into the police, then I'm convinced that you have truly lost your mind. Did you tell your son about our connection and get him to snitch on me? No, we've already had this conversation. I never told any of my children about our connection. If you shoot me, then I will be relieved knowing that I lost my life because you were stupid enough to believe your own paranoia. Then how come my house is being raided right after I agreed to become Pacho's business partner? It seemed like the best choice for me then, Isidore. What about now? I've realized that it was the worst mistake of my life. Isabel, one thing I need you to know is that I don't hate you. But it does break my heart knowing that we'll never get to know the child we made together. We'll never get the chance to hold, speak, or even put a face to our love child. But you've known that for years and you kept it to yourself. I can never bring you down after the guilt that you've dealt with for so long. You need to leave. I need you to understand that you don't need to go through this alone. And what do you plan to do afterward, Isidore? I know your endgame, and since you know what you know now, I can't have you in my life the way that you want. Please go. Hey Vanessa, what's going on? Max, I'm gonna ask you something, and I'll need honesty. Is everything okay? I just received a rose, and there's no name on it. Did this gift come from you? No. If you got a rose, then it didn't come from me. When I agreed to be your friend, I meant it. Guess you got that rose from someone who deserves you. I've gotta go, but I'll see you later. Don't worry, Vanessa. Soon, you and I will be together. Once you're mine, you'll appreciate all the gifts I give you. I do care about your feelings, Ben. I'll always care about you. Save it. Like I've told you before, now that Adaku is going down and after the trial is over, there is no reason why you should keep trying to contact me. Alright, clearly nothing I say or do will ever get you to forgive me. Once the trial is over, then I'll make sure that you never talk nor see me again. I just want you to know that my life will never be the same without you. Goodbye, Ben. You went into business with my son? How come I'm now just hearing about this, Adaku? I don't have time to explain. Now I have to go away and lay low. But you must be warned that your son has now made himself my enemy. Don't even think about going after him. I'm not sure if you would be saying that if you knew that he was coming after you. I should have listened to you, Devante. Now I'm convinced that Quinlan did expose my true identity. It's clear as to how she found out in the first place. But you must be warned that your son has now made himself my enemy. Don't even think about going after him. I'm not sure if you would be saying that if you knew that he was coming after you. I should have listened to you, Devante. Now I'm convinced that Quinlan did expose my true identity. It's clear as to how she found out in the first place. You can't expect me to commit perjury and make myself Devontae's target. That's exactly what I expect you to do. As for being Devontae's target, you don't have to be as long as he goes to prison. And what if Devontae doesn't get convicted? Will you offer me protection? You just better hope that Devontae does get convicted. Mr. Dorval, can you explain to the court how you became acquainted with Mr. Torres? My family and I had just moved into Valley Park, and we met Mr. Torres and his family at the Russo estate for their Labor Day picnic. Mr. Torres explained to me that he needed to work with an HVAC company that he could rely on, and I agreed to do work at his hotel. At first, you two got along. That's correct. What changed? I heard that he was responsible for taking the life of Elvira Russo, so I decided to cut ties with him. How did Mr. Torres feel about that? He certainly wasn't happy about it. In fact, he wouldn't leave me nor my family alone. In fact, he asked me to serve as a character witness for him, but I refused to. That's when I started getting threatening text messages and was eventually ran over outside of my business. Who do you think sent you those text messages? And who do you think ran you over? I believe that Mr. Devontae Torres was behind it all. Mr. Dorval, what made you so sure that my client took Elvira Russo's life when you heard of his arrest? When I heard that he had an affair with a teenager while he was married with a child of his own, that told me that I didn't really know him at all. Mr. Dorval, were you involved in a lawsuit with Mr. Isidore Russo? Objection. This question is irrelevant. The witness is speaking on my client's character. My question leads into the sort of man my client is. Overruled. Did Mr. Isidore Russo file a lawsuit against you? We both know that he did. Did my client refer you to Mr. Udell Mitchell to be your lawyer? He did. So my client offers you more business and refers you to a lawyer when you face legal issues. Yet you were so certain that he's this monster all because the media told you that he was? It's his actions that made me realize that he was a monster and a danger to my family. You believe that my client is a danger to your family? Mr. Dorval, wasn't my client shot on your property? Objection. Your Honor, this is a completely different set of circumstances. The witness claimed that my client was a danger to his family, and I'm trying to get the court to determine whether the witness's claims are justified. Overruled. Yes, Mr. Torres was shot on my property, but he was threatening my wife. Did your wife shoot him? No. Who did, Mr. Dorval? My son, but he was only trying to protect his mother. Is your son mentally ill, Mr. Dorval? How dare you? Objection! The mental health of the witness's son is irrelevant. Your Honor, the witness just admitted that his son shot my client and stated that he did so to protect Mrs. Dorval. The court needs to know if my client was truly a danger to the witness's family or if the witness's son was mentally stable. Overruled, but proceed carefully, Miss Drake. My son is mentally ill. Schizophrenic? Yes. Mr. Dorval, was your son taking his medication around the time that my client was shot? No, he wasn't. No further questions. I would like to bring Dr. Terry Burke to the stand. Legally, my name is still Terry Burke, but I'm in the process of changing my name back to Murphy. Of course. How long have you known Mr. Torres? Not long. Can you describe your relationship with Mr. Torres? Honestly, I can't say that there is much of a relationship. I'm sorry, but I was under the impression that you two were friends. I was never a friend of his. In fact, after false medical records came out that he received an STD, he threatened to sue the hospital. Is this true? Of course not. She's lying. She's lying and I don't know why. Was there not a photo on your social media page with you and Mr. Torres at his hotel? There was. He told me that I could either be his biggest champion or lose my job once he owned the hospital after winning the lawsuit. I knew that the medical record was fake and I was terrified. Most of all, I knew what he was accused of and feared for my life and the life of my son.
You liar! None of you believe a word that comes out of her mouth. She's lying right through her teeth.
Mr. Torres, sit down and be silent or else I will have you held in contempt. Miss Drake, get a hold of your client. Listen to him, Devontae. Sit down. Adaku. Hello, Miss Franklin. What do you want? I want to take your life because you screwed up mine. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't like being lied to, Miss Franklin. Most of all, I don't like being made a fool of. Adaku, please, stop squirming like a little baby, Miss Franklin. I need you to get into my car and take your final ride. If you don't do as I say, then I will blow your head off on this spot. Then have my men shoot your brother through the heart and let the crows eat the flesh off of your bodies. In simpler terms, come with me if you want your brother to live. Dr. Murphy, did you not agree to be a character witness for my client? I did, but he wouldn't take no for an answer when I rejected it at first. Dr. Murphy, I understand that when it comes to being on the stand, it can be nerve-wracking. Because of that, we don't know what we're saying at times. Why serve as a character witness for my client if he's so terrifying? Because he wouldn't take no for an answer. Let me remind you that you took an oath, and I'm going to give you one last chance to be honest. Did my client truly threaten to sue the hospital if you didn't become friendly with him? Did he truly force you to take a picture with him? And are you truly terrified of my client? Where are you taking me, Adaku? As for the exact location, you'll find out when we get there. Right now, all you need to know is that I'm taking you to your final resting place. What do you want? I want to take your life because you screwed up mine. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't like being lied to, Miss Franklin. Most of all, I don't like being made a fool of. I knew that the medical record was fake and I was terrified. Most of all, I knew what he was accused of and feared for my life and the life of my son.
You liar! None of you believe a word that comes out of her mouth. She's lying right through her teeth.
Where are you taking me, Adaku? As for the exact location, you'll find out when we get there. Right now, all you need to know is that I'm taking you to your final resting place. I'm honestly terrified of Mr. Torres. He did in fact threaten to sue the hospital and threaten to make me lose my position as chief of staff. Mr. Torres forced me to take a photo with him. Then why wait until court to say any of this? Blackmail is illegal. You could have gone to the police. I was afraid that the police wouldn't believe me. Why not, Dr. Murphy? You hold a respectable position in this town. Why wouldn't the police believe you? Especially when the police are trying to prosecute my client. Because your client still holds power in this town. Much more power than I'll ever be able to obtain. You would be afraid of him too if you were placed in the position he put me in. No further questions. I understand that your house was raided, but what makes you think that I had anything to do with that? Miss Franklin, I know that you and Pacho Torres worked together to bring me down. I don't know exactly how Pacho knew about my true identity, but the fact is that he did find out, told you, and you ended up leaking my identity to the world. Please leave this life with dignity, Miss Franklin, and admit to what you've done. You have no room to judge me, not after you have my brother, a minor, putting his life on the line selling poison for you. It's over, Adaku. Your family empire is crumbling before your eyes, and taking my life isn't going to change that. That's correct, Miss Franklin. Taking your life won't change the fact that my empire is crumbling, but it's crumbling because of you and Pacho Torres. Once I take your life, Pacho will learn that deceiving me the way he did was a fatal mistake. Commissioner Berg, you were appointed to investigate Elvira Russo's case back in 2003, correct? That's correct. What do you remember when you initially investigated her case? I knew that her life was taken by someone with a knife and that her nephew Ben was pretty much the only witness, even though he didn't see who took her life, but only heard her screams. Did Ben Russo tell you anything about what he heard? All he told me was that he remembered Elvira screaming with someone. He couldn't determine if Elvira screamed, "I don't want you," or "I don't want you here." But now he's certain that he heard the words, "I don't want you." Yes. Were you aware that Elvira Russo had an affair with anyone at that time? I was informed that she was having an affair, but I didn't know that she was having an affair with Devontae Torres until the beginning of the year. Commissioner Burke, is there any physical evidence that you have that would tie Mr. Devontae Torres to the crime? I do. In fact, I've got a hold of Elvira's diary. Let me get this straight. You're gonna try and take my life and make Pacho feel guilty for the rest of his life? I'm not gonna try, Miss Franklin. I am going to take your life. As for Pacho, his feeling of guilt is the least of my concern. After I dispose of you, I want him to live the rest of his days, wondering if I'll make him disappear as well. Dispose of me? Adaku, I'm a human being, not a piece of garbage. You're my enemy. It's not like you don't have the resources to leave town or even leave the country. You can let me go, and the police won't be able to catch up with you. Miss Franklin, I need you to understand something. Carrying my father's legacy meant everything to me. It still does. Now that I've allowed my father's legacy to burn in flames, I have to make sure that I don't become remembered as a coward. It's disrespectful to my father's memory. In order to honor my father's memory, I still need to send a message that the Danjumas are not to be made fools of.
Shouldn't you object or something?
Hold your horses, Devante. Is this Elvira's diary? It is. Has it been tested to be authentic? It has. How does this diary confirm that Devontae Torres took Elvira's life? Clearly, Elvira had no idea that her life would be cut short, but it confirms that Devontae Torres is not to be trusted. Devontae claimed that Elvira pursued him. The diary, in Elvira's own words, states the opposite. Elvira wrote in her diary that Devontae charmed her, and she fell for his charm. She wrote in her diary that she regretted cheating on Udell, longing to get him back. In fact, she was willing to tell Udell the entire truth about her affair with Mr. Torres. It lines up with Ben's account of Elvira telling Mr. Devontae Torres that she screamed out the words, "I don't want you." We believe that Devontae couldn't handle the fact that Elvira no longer wanted him, went to the Russo estate to change her mind. But when she refused, he snapped, took out his knife, then took Elvira's life. No further questions. Miss Drake, do you have any questions for the witness?
Harley.
Miss Drake, do you have any questions for Commissioner Burke? No, Your Honor, I have no questions. Here we are, your burial place. Now turn around and kneel. Adaku, please. Have some dignity, Quinlan. I'm begging you, please let me live. You know how important family is. Zeke is important to me. He's all that I have. I'm all that he has. Please don't take me away from him. If you don't turn around and kneel, Quinlan, then I will shoot you between the eyes. Despite your conspiracy against me, I did value you as an employee. I'm trying to be graceful. I'll give you until the count of 3. I'm sorry, Miss Franklin, but you brought this upon yourself.
Adaku.
Put the gun down. Throughout our time in court, we have learned a few things about Devontae Torres. He is more than the owner of a successful hotel. He is more than a husband. He is more than a father. Devontae Torres is a liar. He is an adulterer. He is a predator. And most of all, he is a monster. A monster who took the life of a 17-year-old girl. A little girl who had the rest of her life ahead of her. Devontae Torres got to live his life. He had the chance to get married. He had the chance to become a father. And he had the chance to see his family's hotel reach to new heights. While he got to live his life, his lover, his victim, never got to do any of that. Elvira never got to marry the man she loved. She never got to become a mother. She never even got to achieve her dreams. All because of that man, Devontae Torres, who couldn't stand the fact that his mistress, a teenager, didn't want him anymore. Since he couldn't have Elvira, no one could have her. Not her boyfriend, not her friends, not her brothers, not her nephews, and not her parents. Elvira's life was robbed, and because she was sick and tired of Devontae Torres, he coldly robbed her from those who cared about her.
Since you didn't cross-examine Finnegan like you should have, those closing arguments better sweep the entire courtroom off of their feet.
Mr. Grant was correct. Devontae is a husband, father, and successful businessman. Despite that, Devontae is a man with flaws, a man with weaknesses. Though he has this persona of being larger than life, he is just a man. Does that truly make him guilty of a brutal crime? There was no weapon, no DNA evidence found against him, and no clear motive for taking Elvira's life. Did he have any business being with Elvira? Absolutely not. He has admitted that. What he won't admit to is taking Elvira's life, not because he's worried about facing punishment, but because he is a flawed man who didn't do what he's been accused of. Why admit to something so gruesome if he didn't do it? My client is not a monster. He is a human being that shares the same sort of flaws that we all have. I'm sorry, Miss Franklin, but you brought this upon yourself.
Adaku.
Put the gun down. While he got to live his life, his lover, his victim, never got to do any of that. Elvira never got to marry the man she loved. She never got to become a mother. She never even got to achieve her dreams. All because of that man, Devontae Torres. Why admit to something so gruesome if he didn't do it? My client is not a monster. He is a human being that shares the same sort of flaws that we all have. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. Will the defendant please rise? Jury, will you please read your verdict? Benedict Russo, your presence certainly wasn't expected. I told you to drop the gun. I heard you the first time. Since it's clear that you don't have a hearing disability, then I suggest you do as I say if you want to see another day. We, the jury, find the defendant, Devontae Torres. Guilty of taking the life of Elvira Russo. Order in this court. I hope you rot in prison for the rest of your life after what you did to my son. Mom! Just be lucky you're going to prison, Devontae, because if you ever touch her again, I swear I will choke the life out of you.
I see why you didn't cross-examine him, Harley. You two are screwing. Best believe I'll appeal this. It's not over.
Are you okay? I'm fine, especially since I know that he's not a threat to me or my son. What do you mean, Harley? I'll explain it later. I can't believe it, Udell. Devontae is finally going away. Elvira's finally gotten justice. Owen, thank you. Thank you so much. Did that actually happen? He's a monster, Clarice. If Devontae could take our little girl's life, then he could harm any other woman, even if that woman is his lawyer. Not that. I mean, is he finally going to pay for what he did to our Pearl? He is. It's over now. It's finally over. I believe congratulations is in order. I told you that I would make sure Elvira would get justice. You certainly did. Hearing the jury make the right decision was such a relief. Now Elvira can rest. After all these years, I was never sure if I would see her case make it to trial. Most of all, I never expected to be friends with the prosecutor on her case. But I'm thankful for our friendship. I'm honored to be your friend, Wanda. What about you, Udell? How are you feeling?
Hello, family.
Are you serious? Do you expect us to pretend like you weren't trying to take your lawyer's life right in front of us?
I'm sorry you all had to see me acting out of character. I just heard what the jury said, and you won't believe what Harley said to me. I'm sorry, I just lost control.
Just like you lost control when you took Elvira's life. Since you were found guilty, will you finally admit to what you did, Dad? You're in no position to threaten me, Benedict.
And you're in no position to test me, Adaku. If you value your life, then you'll just put the gun away and never enter this town again.
Do you realize how pathetic you are? You would actually risk your life to rescue the very woman who destroyed your parents' marriage. Being seen as pathetic isn't anything new to me, but maybe you ought to consider your reputation.
Would you actually risk being taken down by an ex-cop who's also known as a black sheep of his wealthy family? I don't believe congratulations is the right word to say for this occasion, Miss Jones. My daughter is still gone, and she's never coming back. Vivian, I am so thankful for your support through this time. It even encouraged other Russo Jewelers employees to show up. You have certainly showed great leadership. I'm just glad to see that you will all be able to move forward after this. See you around. Clarice, what problem do you have with Vivian? Just like Wanda, I'm also relieved to see justice being served. Devontae deserves everything he gets from here on out. It serves him right after he tried to paint me as a monster who took Elvira's life on national television. I'm truly sorry for your loss, Udell. My wife and I will always miss Elvira. Now we get to live the rest of our lives, knowing that the person who took her from us won't be walking free. But after what I found out from her diary, it seems like your life could have been so different.
I'll tell you what I don't want to be known as. I don't want to be known as the woman who let either of you run me out of town.
Believe me, Quinlan and I will be more than willing to keep our mouths shut if we all have the chance to make it out of here alive.
Quinlan isn't at the courthouse covering Devontae's trial like she should be. How do we explain her absence?
Quinlan can lie. Trust me, Daku. It's one of her greatest skill sets.
I won't risk it, Benedict. If I lose my life, then I'll gladly leave this earth as long as I get to take Miss Franklin with me.
I can't go on thinking about the what-ifs. As for Wanda and I, we will move on from today as a family. See you around.
I told you that there was no reason for you to feel threatened by Owen during the trial. My head is clear and Devontae will live the rest of his days rotting in prison.
I have nothing against Vivian. Are you sure? Because the girl has shown us nothing but kindness, yet you seem to reject it. I'm not discussing this any further. We got what we wanted when we came here, Lorenzo. I would like to go home.
Thank you for being so brave on the stand. Brave about what, Isidore? Risking my freedom by committing perjury or risking my life by making false claims about Devontae? Either way, a sick, evil man is off of the streets, and you have a hand in that. Let's just hope no one finds out I lied on the stand. We don't need Devontae becoming successful if he decides to appeal.
I won't say anything if you don't. Besides, I've noticed you won't be spending any time in prison. Finnegan clearly overlooked a part in Elvira's diary where she spoke about you taking my grandparents' life.
You should be glad too. I could only imagine how your family would have reacted finding out you knew the truth about Dante's passing for all these years.
I can't admit to something I never did.
Dad, it's over now, and you still can't tell the truth? I can't believe this.
Devontae, you had one chance to make the right decision. Not only did you lose your freedom today, but this also marks the day you lost your family. Father, you haven't lost me. Cut the crap, Pacho. I have lost you. What? I know. Adaku, your deception, I know. Because of your betrayal to me, don't you dare expect me to sign over Theodosius' palace over to you. You've proven to me that you're not worthy to carry on this family's legacy. Wow. So this is what you want for your legacy? Since you fall, you want the entire family to fall? Deciding not to hand the hotel over to you isn't my way of seeing the family fall. I will still make sure your sisters are taken care of. How? Michelle, you were right. Your brother never came to town to reconcile. He wanted to take over our empire and almost succeeded. but you are only trying to look out for me, and I'm sorry for not listening to you. Despite how you might feel about me, I hope this makes you change your mind.
Change my mind about what?
You've proven to me that you are the one who needs to take this family into the future, Nichelle. As soon as I can, I'll sign Theodosius' palace over to you.
Quinlan. I'm okay. Are you sure you weren't hurt? I'm not hit. I'm fine, Ben. Thanks to you, you've saved my life. How did you know where to find me? I noticed you walking out of the courtroom. I knew you wouldn't just leave when Devontae's case is what could help benefit your career. Adaku threatened Zeke. I couldn't let her hurt him, so I walked out of the courtroom. Ben, the trial. The verdict is supposed to be made today. You shouldn't miss it.
When Elvira lost her life, there was nothing I could do to save her. I wasn't gonna sit around and let another young woman lose her life.
If I lose my life, then I'll gladly leave this earth as long as I get to take Miss Franklin with me. Are you sure you weren't hurt? I'm not hit. I'm fine, Ben.
I'll sign Theodosius' palace over to you.
If you got a rose, then it didn't come from me.
Don't worry, Vanessa. Soon, you and I will be together. Once you're mine, you'll appreciate all the gifts I give you.
Where are you headed off to? I'm gonna meet with Owen and celebrate the fact that Devontae is going to prison.
You sure have been pretty quiet since the trial ended. I would have assumed that you would throw a fiesta after Father gifted you with full control of Theodosius' palace.
I'm still wondering if the gift was conditional.
Father is a lot of things, Nichelle, but I don't think there's a condition whatsoever. He knew how you felt after he was found guilty. Unless you're going to the sentencing to secure your spot as the next in line to run this hotel.
I'm coming. Ben?
Hey, Quinlan.
How are you holding up? I'm thankful to be alive, even if it means that Adaku lost her life. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I should reach out to you after everything that's happened. Thanks for inviting me to your cookout, Vanessa. No problem. After what you've been going through at the trial, I knew you would need some fun. Now you get to relax with my family and I on Haitian Flag Day.
Hey, Vanessa.
Why celebrate? Why not, Udell? After waiting around 20 long years for justice, I know Elvira will want us to celebrate. How come I didn't get an invite? Probably because Owen gets the point that you don't seem to like him. Besides, I still don't see what the big deal is. Owen helped throw Devontae in prison. We should both be grateful. Just because Owen happened to be the prosecutor on the case doesn't mean that I'm gonna worship the ground he walks on, Wanda. Nobody's saying that you have to, but the way you're acting makes it seem like you're angry he did something you couldn't. I don't know if I'll be going to the sentencing. Does that also mean you still don't know what you're gonna do when Father signs Theodosius' palace over to you? Are you asking me this because you still want the hotel, Pacho? I only tried to go after the hotel to make sure this family was well taken care of. I'm good with my online retail business. Besides, I've got my sights on other things. As for you, Theodosius' palace is yours. You can do with it whatever you see fit. I'm not even sure if I want it. I stood by Dad this entire time and didn't believe that he could be the monster everyone said he was. On top of that, this hotel was built on lies and criminal activity. That's true, but take this opportunity as a chance to rewrite our family's legacy and rise above the faults of those who came before us. I just wanted to give you some space so you could process everything after Adaku held you hostage. Now that Adaku's gone, I know that Zeke and I are no longer in danger. As for my job, that's a different story. I'm sure you'll be okay. The board of the news station will have to find someone to take over since Adaku clearly can't. But everything's gonna be fine. Ben, I really appreciate you coming here, but you're awfully kind today. I hope you're not here just because I could have lost my life. Tati, Rosaline, and Didi send their love and wish they could be here. I can't believe that before the year ends, Tati might not even be here anymore. We just gotta appreciate her while we can. You seem kinda distracted, Jeremiah. Max Russo is here. We did tell Vanessa and JJ that they can bring their friends. Yo voulais venir là pour manger. Et si Vanessa dit Max c'est yon ami Jeremiah, nous besoin kweli. Thanks for inviting me. No problem. We're friends now and my parents told me I could invite friends. Does your family have a barbecue every Haitian Flag Day? Back in Miami, we would go to parades. Since we've been blessed with this house, my parents decided to invite family over and try to make this cookout an annual thing. Hey Ulissa, I'm X. Hey JJ, is that supposed to be for me? Lucky guess. I knew you were down after the trial, so I wanted to cheer you up. I remembered you telling me how you lost some Bubble Guppies toy years ago during some family vacation and never got it back. Thought I could cheer you up with a new one. Thank you so much, JJ. It means a lot. What's that supposed to mean, Wanda? I'm just wondering if you're upset that Owen helped Elvira to get justice while you sat on the sidelines. That's ridiculous. Besides, how old was Owen when Elvira lost her life? Probably like 12 or 13? Exactly. Owen was just entering middle school while we were entering our senior year of high school. Your point? My point is, Owen wouldn't have been able to do a single thing back then. Let's not forget how you could have spoken up about Devontae sleeping with Elvira after she lost her life. What are you doing here? It's fine, Pacho. I asked Zeke to come. Can you leave us alone? All right, but I'll be in the other room. How are you, Nichelle? I was gonna ask you the same thing since I heard that Adaku could have taken Quinlan's life if Ben Russo didn't get to them on time. She's still shaken up, but I'm glad I still got my sister. Since Adaku is gone, you're free, right? Yeah, I ain't selling her stuff no more. I'm glad to hear it, Zeke. But I also know about my family's connection to the Danjumas. I asked you to come here so that I could apologize. Everything about the Adaku situation gave me time to put things into a new perspective. What sort of new perspective? Since Christmas, I was so focused on making sure that I would never see you again, out of my life for good. And my wish almost came true. It troubles me to know that my wish was almost granted in the worst way imaginable. But I'm still alive, Ben. Besides, it's not like what Adaku tried to do was your fault. It kind of is. You only got involved because I drew you into all of this. Since Adaku didn't succeed in taking my life, I give you permission to go on hating me again. What if I don't want to hate you anymore, Quinlan? How about I introduce you to some of my cousins? I would love to meet your family, JJ. JJ doesn't usually go all out to gift people the way he gifted Ulissa, even if he is friends with them. Speaking of gifts, did you ever find out who sent you the rose? I didn't. What did you do with the rose then? I threw it away. Keith, you were able to make it. Just when I thought we've moved past my biggest regret, you go ahead and throw it in my face the first chance you get. Wanda, I'm not trying to throw anything in your face or bring up painful memories. You just did. My point is that you shouldn't try to paint Owen as some sort of hero, nor should you paint him to be a threat. This is exactly why you didn't get an invite. I'll see you when I get back home. What you gotta apologize for? Pressuring you to tell me the entire truth about my dad and Adaku. Now I understand how you were put in a tough spot, and I see how you were only trying to protect me. I wouldn't be singing praises if I were you, Michelle. I was still keeping secrets from you, because you weren't trying to put me in any danger. You gotta listen. There's more secrets I've been keeping from you. What do you mean? After I gave substances to Max Russo, I made a deal with D.A. Russo. She told me I could either go to prison or give her info on what I know about Adaku. Michelle, all I do is keep things from you. And I'm sorry that I keep disappointing you over and over again. I don't deserve no apologies. I don't even deserve to be forgiven. Most of all, I don't deserve you. What was that for? Why kiss me since I hurt you so much? You did, but it wouldn't have hurt so much if I didn't love you, because I do love you, Zeke. Unlike my father, you actually own your flaws and your stupid choices. I refuse to listen to what people said about my dad, yet I couldn't even forgive you when you apologized to me countless times. Knowing that Quinlan almost lost her life made me realize that I could have lost you too. Zeke, I don't know how I would have lived with myself if I lost you forever. You don't gotta worry about me going anywhere. I'm done with dealing. I'm done with cheating. I'm done with hurting you, Nichelle. I'm so sorry for all the pain I've caused you, and I don't want to cause you any more pain. Please don't pity me, Ben. This isn't my way of pitying you. Like I said, I've had time to reflect. When we were together and you were keeping that disgusting secret about you and my dad, I was so angry. I didn't even stop to truly consider that you didn't cheat on me at all. But since you did involve yourself with my father, it made me question if your feelings for me were genuine. They were. My feelings for you are real. I see it now, Quinlan. Seeing Adaku point her gun at you, all I could think about was the fact that we never got to make amends. Now we can grasp the chance, which is right in front of us. Ben, I'm so sorry for how much I hurt you. I know how hard it was for you to trust anyone. I should have been honest the very moment I had these feelings for you. And I'm sorry for ending things before it really began. I have nothing against starting over and creating new beginnings. What about you? Keith, hello? Are you in there? What is Max Russo doing here? Vanessa invited him here. Do you promise not to cause any trouble? Ouch. Don't you think throwing a gift away was kind of harsh? Was it? After all, Max, you're the expert in knowing how harsh I can be. Vanessa? Vanessa, are you okay? Don't worry about me. It's nothing.
Vanessa? Vanessa, are you okay?
Don't worry about me. It's nothing. I hope you rot in prison for the rest of your life after what you did to my son. Mom! Zeke, I don't know how I would have lived with myself if I lost you forever.
You don't gotta worry about me going anywhere. I'm done with dealing. I'm done with cheating. I'm done with hurting you, Nichelle. I'm so sorry for all the pain I've caused you, and I don't want to cause you any more pain. Hey, Vanessa.
I'm glad you're done ignoring me, Nichelle. I haven't been ignoring you at all. Ever since Dad was found guilty, I just needed some time to myself. Since you had time to yourself, does that mean you decided to do the right thing and sign over Theodosius' palace over to Mom? I'm trying to do the right thing now, Ulissa, and I want to start by apologizing. I'm sorry for Dad influencing me to tear our family apart.
So now will you tell me exactly how Devontae was a threat to you and Alan?
Do you remember when Alan was beaten up a few months ago?
Yeah.
Well, Devontae was behind it, and he basically threatened to hurt Alan even more if I didn't agree to be his lawyer.
Is there anything I can help you with, Isidore? I actually came to see how I can help you since Devontae was found guilty.
Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. It's fine, Keeve. It's not your fault. I've just been distracted.
Distracted with what?
You don't need to worry about it.
I saw you at your family's cookout the other day.
Yeah, I noticed you there too, Keeve. Sorry I didn't get the chance to speak with you. I needed to catch up with family and friends.
Friends like Max Russo?
Nichelle, there's no way I'm gonna give you a hard time for refusing to see the worst in Dad. Don't make excuses for me. I missed the red flags that everyone else saw. Every day, I ask myself why I was so blind to see how dark Dad was. He literally seduced a girl my age. That fact alone should have made me see sense, but I couldn't. Our parents are the first people we ever love when we come in this world. There's no shame in loving them despite their faults. Mom told me the same thing. Thank you for being so forgiving, Ulissa. Like I've told you countless times, Jesus forgave me, so I need to forgive others, especially those in my own family. But there's something else I need to tell you, and you're not gonna like it. What is it, Nichelle?
How's the love of my life doing?
What? He didn't say it outright, but he came to the hospital and implied he was responsible for putting Alan in there.
Harley, I'm so sorry. You must have been terrified.
I felt so helpless, Finnegan. I had to risk my own son hating me for defending the very man who took Elvira's life. But I had to make a choice. Either Alan could hate me for the rest of his life or risk not having a life to live.
Devontae holds no more power in this town. With Adaku gone and with Devontae going to prison, you and Alan are no longer in any danger. I just wish you would have told me sooner.
Like you just said, Devontae held power, much more power than you. Since you know the truth, I'm trying to figure out how to explain all of this to Alan and the Russos. My family and I are adjusting.
Will you be going to Devontae's sentencing?
I will. Plus, Ulissa wants to have the chance to say goodbye to her father. despite what he did to Elvira. Since Devante will be going to prison, did he do the sensible thing and sign Theodosius' palace over to you? He did the sensible thing, but didn't sign it over to me. Michelle is going to be the owner of this hotel. Congratulations to the young entrepreneur in the making. Most of all, congrats to keeping the family business in the family. Hey Keith, it's been a while. It has. Are you eager to throw me against the locker again? Keith, I'm really sorry for the way I reacted. I understand that you were only reacting to the lies Yvette spread about me. You're right. You shouldn't have reacted the way you did. I'm sorry about that, Max. It's fine. I did almost put my fist in his face. But Keith still spoke to you like you were guilty, and I bet there are people in this school who still think I am. Now I'm not sure if they'll ever change their mind about me. Nichelle, when were you planning to tell me about this? I was just about to tell you, Yulissa, honest. Sorry, Nichelle. I thought you already told her about us. I guess you told her that you were also sorry for cheating. That's how you slithered your way back into my sister's life, right? Weren't you just going on about forgiveness? Yet you can't even forgive Zeke like I have? Nichelle, this isn't about me holding on to a grudge. Besides, forgiving someone doesn't mean you automatically trust them again. Devante's been punished for what he's done. I see no harm in telling the Russos the truth. They'll understand. But if I did get Devante off, then it would be another story. So I'm not sure if the Russos will be forgiving since there was still a chance that he could have gone free. Harley, you were given no choice. As if that's gonna matter to the Russos. Whether Devante forced me or not, they'll always remember how I worked hard to ensure his freedom. What are you doing here, Alan? You should be at work, unless you forgot you're a community college graduate. I certainly haven't forgotten, Dad. You ought to be at work too, but I'm here for the same reason you are, to see how the Torres family is doing since their great and mighty patriarch has fallen. Alan, this is not the time, and it is certainly not the place for your games. I'm a college graduate, Dad, remember? I don't have to play games. Have you gotten Isabel to replace you with Devante since he won't be in the picture anymore? I've heard enough. You need to leave. Only if things went my way. You wouldn't be telling me those words. You're a born-again Christian now, Max. You can give those concerns to God. What people think about you is out of your control. But now you have access to the one who has everything under control. As you grow, people will see that you're not the monster they saw you as before. Thanks, Vanessa. I really appreciate the encouragement. What are friends for? I trust Zeke now, Yulissa. How I feel about him is what matters. And you trust his empty promises? My promises ain't empty. Zeke, just because I'm saved doesn't mean I'm soft. I really do hope you don't plan to hurt Nichelle anytime soon, because I'm not looking forward to drying the tears you give to my sister. You were afraid for your son and only tried to protect him. You have nothing to feel guilty about. And how do you think Alan is gonna feel when I tell him that I knew who was behind his attack this entire time? I'm sure he'll be grateful to have a mother who loves him and will do whatever it takes to protect him. Isidore, what is Alan talking about? I'm still in the room, Isabel. Dad, I thought you came here to also be honest with her. I mean, you can't have a relationship without honesty. Alan, I'm warning you. Don't stop him, Isidore. Your son seems to know something that I should know. What is it I should know, Alan? Theodosius' palace was supposed to be mine. What are you talking about? I haven't lost my mind, Isabel. I'm serious. After I heard how your husband took my aunt's life, I was trying to go after this hotel. Why do you think the guest list kept shrinking these past few months? My dad agreed to help me.
My point is, Owen wouldn't have been able to do a single thing back then. Let's not forget how you could have spoken up about Devontae sleeping with Elvira after she lost her life. See you around. Clarice, what problem do you have with Vivian?
What are friends for? Theodosius's palace was supposed to be mine.
What are you talking about?
I haven't lost my mind, Isabel. I'm serious. After I heard how your husband took my aunt's life, I was trying to go after this hotel. Why do you think the guest list kept shrinking these past few months? My dad agreed to help me.
Your place is small. I was gonna say nice, but it's smaller than what you're used to. Now you get a glimpse of how a regular, struggling Gen Zer gets to live, Pacho. You make it work, Vivian. I respect it. And like I said, your place looks nice. But I see why you want to go after the Russos. All I'm doing is going after what belongs to me. Yvette, long time no see. I heard you were back from rehab, and you've been trying to avoid me ever since. What's going on, Wanda?
I didn't get to tell you this while we were celebrating the other day, but now I feel like today's the appropriate time.
The appropriate time to tell me what?
To tell you how Udell never really stopped blaming me for Elvira's passing.
Isidore, I don't want you to lie to me. Is what Alan is saying true? My intention wasn't to hurt you, Isabel. What do you mean? You and your son conspired to take away my daughter's birthright. And I would have made sure that you and your daughters were well taken care of. Don't. Alan told me how you two were behind the number of guests here plummeting. I remember Devontae telling me that the document stating he had an STD while married to me was falsified. You're behind it, and I want the truth.
Yes.
How does going after the Russos equate to what belongs to you? I'll fill you in eventually, Pacho. But how are you doing with your dad being in prison? Sorry I didn't get to check in on you at court. No worries. What we don't need are the Russos being suspicious of you. I'm glad my father's finally paying for his crimes. Why does it sound like your dad wasn't good to you growing up? I haven't been trying to avoid you, Max. Since I dropped the charges against you, I don't think we have anything to say to each other. I'll start off by thanking you for dropping those charges against me, which put an end to this nightmare. Granted, it might have ended sooner and even fatally if I succeeded in taking my own life.
I'm really sorry for the hurt you felt.
Are you sorry, Yvette? I guess that explains why you seemed a bit off when we celebrated my win.
We were supposed to celebrate, and I didn't want my issues to ruin it. When I told Udell about spending time with you, we went back and forth. After I pointed out that we should be grateful for your win in court, he just spat out how I kept Devontae's secret for all of these years.
Udell should know that I only prosecuted Devontae because it was the right thing to do.
I know, but I was thrown aback at how Udell threw my biggest mistake in my face, especially when I thought we'd moved past all that.
Maybe he truly did forgive you, Wanda, but he clearly didn't forget. Unfortunately, he might always bring it up whenever he can't control his emotions.
I asked you, Isidore. I asked you if you created the fake document. Instead, you lied to my face, just like you always do, just like you always have. Isabel, please, just let me explain. Get out of my hotel. If you don't leave by the next minute, then I'll have you escorted out. That sure went sideways. You little bastard. No, Dad. Actually, the real bastard would have been the child Isabel got rid of. Not only am I your only child, but I'm legitimate since you married Mom. At this moment, I wouldn't have minded if your mother terminated her pregnancy when she got pregnant with you. One thing for sure is that I could still have a chance with Isabel if you never existed. That was really harsh. Are you okay, Alan?
Believe it or not, my father was amazing growing up. What changed? Puberty. My father noticed me growing into a man who was supposed to carry on the family legacy and take over Theodosius' palace someday.
But you didn't want to run the hotel?
I wouldn't have minded, but I wanted so much in life in my teen years. Solely focusing on my family's hotel would have hindered my dreams and goals in life. Because I was such a dreamer, it put my father and I at odds. It wasn't until I found out my father was involved in illegal activity, which pushed me away. Since then, I've seen the world and I'm back in Valley Park, making sure my family's taken care of since my father clearly can't look out for them. Enough about me, Vivian. I came over to help you. What exactly do you want with Russo Jewelers?
That's the thing, Pacho. It's not about what I want with Russo Jewelers. I want the company itself. I never wanted to see you lose your life, Max.
You kinda did. Sure, maybe you didn't want to see me go 6 feet under, but if your lie went far, then my life would have been over if I went to prison.
Well, you're not going to prison, which means we can both move on with our lives.
Maybe you can go on with your life just fine, Yvette, but as for me, I still have a few obstacles in my way. How can I move past all of this if you won't even try to clear my name?
Udell always bringing it up is what I fear the most. It feels just like how things were this past Christmas.
Udell is foolish to bring up your teenage mistakes. Just remember that you can always reach out if he gives you any more issues.
Dr. Burke? Dr. Murphy. What exactly are you doing here? I came here to get a nice meal. Since Devante was found guilty, I felt like it was safe to support this hotel again. But I couldn't help but overhear the horrible thing your father just told you. Sounded hurtful. What else is new? At least my dad is struggling with me as his son, just like I'm struggling with him as my father. It doesn't excuse the fact that Isidore Russo is a grumpy, cold-hearted man. What sort of things has he done to you, Dr. Murphy?
You're gonna try to create a hostile takeover of Russo Jewelers? Why?
Everything will be revealed once the company is mine.
How do you even plan to get shares to the company?
I have my ways. My first step is to gain the family's trust, but I've come across a stumbling block.
How so?
Lorenzo's wife, Clarice. She never fails to give me the side eye. Everyone else seems to like me, but I can't have her being suspicious of me. It's too much of a risk.
I don't see what the problem is. Use Clarice's dislike against you, against the Russos. Vivian, this is a sort of family which will trample over each other to get on top.
I've noticed. Thanks for the words of wisdom, Pacho. And from now on, you can just call me Viv, since that's what my friends call me. You mean to tell me that dropping the charges weren't good enough?
I'm grateful that I won't be facing criminal charges, Yvette, but you also need to remember that I was arrested in school. It's an image no one can forget.
Why do you even care what other people think? Besides, it's not like any of this will affect your future. Not only did you dodge getting a criminal record, but your family's got a position open for you in their company.
I know, and yeah, my goal is to still run my family's business one day, but I've given my life to Christ. I want to bring Russo Jewelers to new heights. But since I'm a new believer now, I do want you to know that I don't hate you at all. But Yvette, I also hope you can make things right.
Talk to you later. Were you on the phone with Wanda Mitchell? It's none of your business, D.A. Russo. Wow, I'm met with disrespect when I came to congratulate you on your win against Devontae Torres. If you're so bent on congratulating me, then how come you didn't do so at court? As DA, my life gets really busy. In fact, my family has become a fan of yours, even when I tried to prosecute your son. But the most important thing is that you didn't, which is why I'm even more impressed by you actually doing your job and going after real criminals. Owen was just on the phone with his best friend. Sounds like everything is lining up in place. Thank you for letting me in when it comes to getting justice for Max. Now we can make sure Wanda and Owen get closer and closer. Whatever your father's done doesn't compare to the sort of hurt he's caused you. Dr. Murphy, I don't want to disrespect your profession, but those words didn't make me feel better at all. You're one funny person, Alan. I've actually heard those same words plenty of times before. Guess I've got a lot of growing to do as a doctor. If you must know, I was voted class clown in 7th and 12th grade. Sadly, my family wouldn't have supported me if I pursued a career in stand-up comedy. Your family has no idea how lucky they are to have you. Don't let your dad's harshness or your family's expectation steal your joy, Alan. Don't ever do that again. You saw that, didn't you? She kissed me back, didn't she? That's the thing, Pacho. It's not about what I want with Russo Jewelers. I want the company itself. We, the jury, find the defendant, Devontae Torres, guilty of taking the life of Elvira Russo. Don't ever do that again.
Nice place you have here.
Too bad your opinion doesn't matter, Finnegan. What do you think about the place, Keith?
I'll make up my mind once I see my room.
How are you enjoying the house and making Keith go back and forth between us?
You could have kept the house, Terry. Remember, all you had to do was agree to joint custody. Why do you got this nervous look on your face, Vanessa?
Lorenzo, you really gotta learn to keep your office on lockdown. Let's see how many shares you gave to your legitimate family members.
Mr. Torres, today you will hear your prison sentence. Before I tell you what it is, I have allowed family and friends of the victim to share some words with you. The first person who will speak is Mrs. Wanda Mitchell.
Hello, Devontae. I was told that I wasn't allowed to slap you or spit in your face. Because of those restraints, I will do my best to hurt you with my words as much as I can. It still blows my mind that I'm being punished for protecting my own son.
There's no need, Terry.
Oh, really? You're teaching Keith that if a man destroys his marriage, that the man won't face any consequences.
What sort of lessons do you think you're teaching him? I've never taken anyone's life. You took Dante Russo's life, and you're not rotting in a prison cell
where you belong. I bet you love bringing it up, Finnegan. If only I knew that you and Isidore would be blackmailing me over my choice, then I never would have granted Dante's request. I don't want anything else from you, Terry. Unfortunately, I don't believe anything that comes out of your mouth. I'm not nervous about anything, JJ. Never forget, it's a sin to lie. Don't worry about it. Telling me not to worry makes me worry even more, Vanessa. Unless you don't think I can handle what you're hiding. That's not it. Then tell me what's bothering you. At the moment, you are. Good one. But you can't get rid of me that easily, Vanessa. Of course, Lorenzo gave half of his shares to Clarice. Makes me sick. But it surprises me that Ben still holds on to 10%. I would have thought he would have given his shares away to Max. Benedict, nephew, please don't call yourself the black sheep when your own auntie don't even got shares to our family's company. Ever since I was a little girl, Elvira was by my side and I was by her side. Like every friendship, the two of us had our highs and our lows. Unlike many friendships, Elvira and I were like sisters, especially since neither of us had any sisters of our own. My sister, the only girl I considered to be a sibling, was taken from me at such a young age. Devante, you took her from me. You urged me to keep your dirty little secret all the while knowing you took my best friend's life. Like a fool, I fell for your tricks. But Devante, you're the biggest fool in this room. You're foolish for believing that you could honestly get away with what you did. It wasn't enough for you to seduce my friend, but you had to take her life, all because she grew tired of you. And that is something I'll never forgive you for as long as I live. I don't know how else to convince you, Terry. There's nothing you can say or do that will ever get me to believe anything you tell me. Do you plan to ever find love again being this distrusting? My apologies, Finnegan. Not everyone is so quick to move on like you have with Harley. Are you jealous of what I have with her? After the miserable time I spent? Excuse me, the time I wasted being married to you? Please. As a matter of fact, you'd be jealous seeing the sort of men who come my way. What men, Terry? Fine, I'll tell you, but you can't tell anyone else. Who's gonna believe a schizophrenic teenager? Not funny, JJ. Anyways, do you remember when I got that rose a little while ago? Did you find out who sent it to you? No, but I've been getting texts and I'm 100% sure it's from the same person. And you didn't block him? I did, but somehow he keeps texting me. Vanessa, call me crazy, but it sounds like you're being stalked. Alan, you literally could have been my first target. We work in the same department. We're both around the same age, but I ain't gonna have you getting the wrong idea. Kissing my cousins ain't how I've ever gotten down, so I ain't about to start kissing my nephews either. But maybe I should go after Ben's shares first. He knows how it's like to have an auntie. Maybe that could get him to share his shares with me. Elvira was my only daughter, my only little girl, my pearl, and you brutally took my daughter from me. I was supposed to walk her down the aisle. I was supposed to go first. Elvira was supposed to bury me. Because of you, Devante, I had to bury my only daughter. You have daughters of your own. How would you feel if someone took them from you the way you took Elvira from me? I hope you never have to experience that sort of pain, Devante. Not for your sake, but for the sake of your daughters. Because they have a lot more life to live, just like Elvira did. We're done talking. As you can see, this is a suitable apartment for Keith and I, while he's not at the house. Goodbye, Finnegan. I know you'll never be able to trust me again, but believe me when I say that I hope you don't close your heart to another man. I think the term stalker is an overstatement. How? Is the guy annoying? Definitely. But I really think these gifts and texts are harmless. I've been ignoring the texts and I'll keep ignoring them until this guy gets bored. What if he doesn't get bored, Vanessa? What if he gets angry at you for ignoring him? Have you forgotten how long it took for Max to finally leave you alone? No, JJ, I haven't forgotten. But Max ended up leaving me alone. And Max didn't even get your number. How do you think this weirdo got your number? I'm not sure, but I still wouldn't consider this to be stalking. Like I just told you, I'm not gonna reply and this guy will leave me alone.
You can't keep ignoring me, Vanessa. Sooner or later, you'll have to respond. You can't avoid me forever. Devante, I don't think I ever hated anyone until I saw my baby lying bloody on the floor of my home. I saw Elvira take her first breath, and you were the monster who forced my baby to take her last. How could you do it, Devante? How could you hurt her that way? How could you leave her for my grandson to find? He was 5 years old, a baby, and you scarred my Benedict for life. You've scarred my sons for life. For years, you would speak to my husband and I, knowing what you took from us. Devante, you are a sick man. I have no anger or hatred towards your daughters when I say this, but since I can no longer see my Elvira again, I hope the punishment fits the crime.
Thank you for making all of those statements. Mr. Torres, will you please rise? Mr. Torres, despite the statements which were made, you seem to have no remorse for what you've done. Even as a father, you haven't even shown sympathy for the pain Mr. and Mrs. Russo have endured these past 2 decades. It is clear that you cold-heartedly committed this atrocious act, and for that, I can never let you back in this community again. Because of this, I will be sentencing you to 40 years to life in prison, with no parole. For the sake of your soul, I hope you use this time in prison to reflect on the damage you've caused and accept the tragedy which you have committed. Court is dismissed. Never mind. I can't risk telling Ben who I really am. If he's still gonna hold on to Russo Jewelers shares, that only means he still has some sort of loyalty to the rest of the family. Guess I gotta aim high, which means I'll have to come after your shares first, Clarice. It's only fair, since you're the reason why I got no shares to the company to begin with. I will be sentencing you to 40 years to life in prison, with no parole. For the sake of your soul, I hope you use this time in prison to reflect on the damage you've caused and accept the tragedy which you have committed. Court is dismissed. I have nothing against starting over and creating new beginnings. What about you? I know you'll never be able to trust me again, but believe me when I say that I hope you don't close your heart to another man. Sounds like everything is lining up in place. Thank you for letting me in when it comes to getting justice for Max. Now we can make sure Wanda and Owen get closer and closer. This is Dr. Murphy. Who's calling? Dr. Murphy, it's me, Alan. You sure left the courtroom in a hurry, because I don't need my family asking questions about you and I. Since you don't want your family to see us together, does that mean you're embarrassed of me? Gianni, congratulations on getting justice. My sister did in fact get justice today. Now I just need my son to get justice for what your daughter did to him.
Thank you for coming, even though I didn't get a favorable sentence. But I'm just glad the judge decided to spare my life, so this isn't the last you'll see of me. Since I don't have enough time, I'll make sure to set my house in order.
How did you get this number? I called the hospital and told them that I need to speak with you about the scholarship made in Elvira's name. Do you need to speak with me about the nursing scholarship? We both know I called to discuss another topic. Alan, lose this number and never call again. Dr. Murphy, we can't just forget like our kiss the other day never happened. Our kiss? No, Alan, you kissed me, and we should forget about it. Why should we? It's not like we did anything wrong.
Of course I'm not embarrassed by you, Quinlan. I'm just trying to protect you. Ben, I appreciate you looking out for me, but I can take care of myself. I'm sure you can. The thing is that I don't want you to have to face the wrath of the Russos after everything that happened. We've heard enough. Let's go, Wanda. Why are you in such a rush? It won't change the fact that Yvette can't get away with what she did forever. Just like Devante didn't get away with what he did to my sister.
How dare you compare my child to the likes of Devante?
Sure, Yvette didn't take Max's life, but her actions almost cost him his life. Bottom line, Devante and your daughter have caused harm to my family. Nichelle, did you get the document I sent you?
I did.
Congratulations! You are officially the new owner of Theodosius' palace. I can't wait to see how you bring our family to the future.
Devante,
I am grateful that you gave the hotel over to Nichelle.
But our daughter is 17. How do you expect her to run Theodosius' palace when she hasn't even finished high school yet?
Isabel, Nichelle owns the hotel. That doesn't mean she has to run it. Okay, Father, if you don't expect Nichelle to run Theodosius' palace, then who do you want running it at the moment? Your mother will be running the hotel.
Remind me of how old you are? I'm gonna turn 20 this summer, and I've been practicing medicine before you were even born. Okay, it's not like you plan to retire anytime soon. That's not my point, Alan. There's no way we can pursue any sort of relationship, not with someone who isn't even that much older than my son. Unlike your son, I'm an adult. And are you telling me the kiss was awful?
You're concerned about me. It's cute, but I'm gonna have to face your family's wrath eventually if our relationship is gonna move forward. I know, but I would like for us to have a deeper connection before anyone finds out about us. Are you okay with that? Of course I'm okay with getting closer to you. Since Devante will be in prison for the rest of his life, I feel like now is the right time to visit Elvira's grave.
Sounds like a good idea.
Would you like to come with me? Yvette, drop the charges against Max. Your wife, the DA, isn't pursuing legal action against her and has no evidence to pursue legal action against her. Elvira would be rolling in her grave over your reluctance to get your daughter to do the right thing.
Elvira never wanted anyone speaking for her in life, and I'm sure she doesn't want anyone speaking for her while she's in the grave.
Sounds like you're speaking for Elvira right now, Wanda. And I heard every word in your statement against Devante. If Elvira was your sister, like you claimed, then how could you go after the man your sister loved? Dad, if you want Mom to run the hotel, then why not sign it over to her? Because, Ulissa, I need to focus on the future of our family. You and your sister are the future.
What about Pacho?
Your brother? He proved to me that he can't carry on this family's legacy. And since this is a family conversation, I want you out of my sight, Pacho.
Pacho is your son, Devante.
Don't worry, Ma. I'm good. You want me gone, Father? Then I'll gladly leave. Enjoy a lonely life in prison.
Pacho clearly isn't gonna visit you, Dad. Do you expect me to visit you since you gave me Theodosius' palace? It doesn't matter if I like the kiss or not. It should have never happened, and we should go on with our lives as if it never did. Maybe it shouldn't have happened, Dr. Murphy, but it did. I won't force you to regret the kiss, but I do appreciate the moment of kindness you showed to me at Theodosius' palace after my disagreement with my father. Granted, my emotions took over when I was vulnerable. Dr. Murphy, I am sorry if I made you uncomfortable. You've got my number, and you can either keep it or block it. I'm willing to answer the call anytime. Goodbye. Don't you think this is making our relationship go a bit faster than it should be going? Going with you to your aunt's grave is really personal. I think it's fitting, Quinlan. After all, you helped Elvira get justice. I don't see any harm in paying her a visit, but you don't have to come along if you're not comfortable. What harm can come by spending time with you?
Maybe you're getting to the point in your life where you're forgetting simple facts. Elvira and I were already over before she lost her life. Don't forget, my sister lived the rest of her days pining for you, Udell. She wanted you to give her another chance. You can't tell me that you wouldn't have forgiven her. I can't tell you, Gianni, because none of us knows what could have happened if things were different 20 years ago. Cut the crap. All three of us know that you would have forgiven Elvira because you were her soulmate. And I know you can't say Wanda is. I'm not gonna hear any more of this. You can't run away from the truth. I don't know how my sister could have still been in love with a coward like you. I've had it with you. Elvira hurt me, Gianni. Her actions wouldn't have hurt me so much if I didn't love her. And it hurt me to the core when she lost her life because I lost my soulmate, and I knew I would never love anyone as much as I loved her. Wanda, let me explain.
Wanda, what's wrong?
I can't take Theodosius' palace away from you. Nichelle, it's all yours. Besides, I wouldn't want you to see me caged like an animal if it makes you uncomfortable. Just wait for me to come back home.
Come back home? Dad, did you not listen to the judge? You're not getting out of prison.
That's what he thinks. I'm gonna make an appeal.
An appeal? You have no shame. Even after being found guilty and being sentenced to life, you still refuse to admit to what you've done.
Yes, I refuse to admit to it because I'm innocent.
If you plan to keep on going on like this, Dad, then don't even expect me to spend the rest of my life hearing you cry about your innocence. Pacho was right. Until you admit to what you've done to Elvira, you'll be rotting in prison alone. No visitors and no contact with the only people you love. Goodbye, Devontae. Expect divorce papers to be sent to you, and they better be signed.
Is your mother right, Nichelle? Are you gonna rob your father of seeing his family?
You're trying to get an appeal, right? I'll let you come to me. And don't worry, Theodosius' palace will thrive with you gone. Bye, Dad. You're trying to get an appeal, right? I'll let you come to me. And don't worry, Theodosius' palace will thrive with you gone. Bye, Dad. Guess I gotta aim high, which means I'll have to come after your shares first, Clarice. It's only fair, since you're the reason why I got no shares to the company to begin with.
And it hurt me to the core when she lost her life because I lost my soulmate, and I knew I would never love anyone as much as I loved her. Wanda, let me explain.
Wanda, what's wrong? How long do you plan to keep on ignoring me, Wanda? I might be willing to have a full conversation with you if I'm 100% sure that our marriage will last. What did you need to tell me, Nichelle? Before I say anything, I just want you to know I waited to tell you until everything was finalized. Till what was finalized? I'm only telling you this because I don't want you finding out from anyone else. Most of all, I don't want there to be any secrets between us. Now you're worrying me, Nichelle. What's going on? My dad gave me Theodosius's palace before he was sent down to prison. Hey, Elvira, it's your baby sister, Viv. I know coming here might be a surprise to you, but I wanted to wish you a happy Memorial Day. But again, I don't know how you feel about me showing up since I'm your daddy's little bastard child. I can't wait for us to go out tonight. Neither can I. It's about time we actually go on a date. It should be fun. It should be fun. And it's going to be. I'll see you later, Ben. I've got someone at the door. Hello, Miss Franklin. Happy Memorial Day. Don't you realize how ridiculous you sound? I don't, Udell, because I don't sound ridiculous. I'm your wife, but you don't consider me to be your soulmate. That's what you told Gianni. Gianni got under my skin and I fell for his trap. To tell the truth? Come on, Wanda. You've always known that I would never love you like I love Elvira. That's true. I've always known. Just like I've always known that if Elvira was still alive, then you would have chosen her over me. You were right. But what you told me on Christmas, Udell, our marriage was pretty much built on a lie. What? That's what I'm talking about. I'm happy for you, Nichelle. But I need to make one thing clear. Just because I own the hotel doesn't make me the boss. My mom is in charge until she's certain that I'm ready to run it on my own. I just gotta know. Did you also keep this from me because you thought I was gonna try and take advantage of you? Not at all. I got back with you because I trust you, remember? In fact, I want to take advantage of my role here. How would you like to work here, Zeke? Since my mom loves the Lord, she'll probably have an issue with me talking to anyone who ain't living no more. Guess that's one thing the two of us got in common. Religious mothers. Do you know what, Elvira? I don't even know if I would even exist if you hadn't lost your life. It gives me chills just thinking about it. It's also crazy how dear old dad had no idea that his affair with my mother would cost him everything. What are you doing here? To find out if you and my son have plans for the holiday. I don't know what you're talking about. When you think about lying to me, Quinlan, just don't. I know you slithered your way back into Ben's life. Heidi, for the millionth time, Mrs. Russo. I don't know where you're getting this idea that I'm seeing Ben from, because I saw your filthy lips polluting my son's lips at the courthouse. I saw it with my very eyes, so don't you dare try to deny it. Wanda, what I told you at Christmas was said out of a broken heart, just like you don't mean what you're saying. I'm not emotional, Udell. My head is clear. Since I heard what you told Gianni at the courthouse, are you still married to me out of convenience? Did you just marry me out of convenience? I married you because I loved you. I still do. Wanda, we need to discuss this. Can you put the phone away? It's Owen. Turn the phone off, Wanda. I get that working here won't give you the same sort of money you got dealing, but at least money will still come your way. It's illegal, and most of all, you'll be working with me. What do you think, Zeke? I would love to work here if it gives me a chance to see you every day. Hello, Zeke. Hey, Mrs. Torres. Can you let me speak with Nichelle alone? Okay. See you later, Nichelle. I hope you didn't kick Zeke out because you don't trust him. I'll trust your judgment, Nichelle, but I didn't kick him out because of his previous actions. The two of us need to discuss business. And to make the record clear, I ain't going after Russo Jewelers out of revenge. Okay, maybe revenge has got something to do with it, Sis, I'm the best fit to bring this family into the future. If you had the chance to meet me, then you'd agree. Vivian, what on earth are you doing here? Does the rest of the family know? They don't. Thank you. Don't thank me. Don't you ever thank me for anything. I won't tell the Russos about this sham of a relationship because I want you to stay away from my son. You don't pay this phone bill. I do. So I'm gonna answer it. No, you won't. We're gonna talk. Udell, I swear, if you try to snatch this phone out of my hand when I answer, I'll scream to the rooftops and get Owen to have you arrested. Don't test me. Yvette, how much did you hear? Enough. What do you need to tell me? As you step into this new role in your life, I don't want you to feel pressured to be better than your father. When you do take over, I just want you to do the best that you can. Mom, for the longest time, I had no idea what I even wanted to do with my life. Now that I've been given this opportunity, I'm ready to take on the world. I don't want to lose myself being the new owner of this hotel. I've always wanted to be known as something more than the Torres heiress. I want to make my own mark in history and not just focus on carrying on some family legacy. There's no doubt in my mind that you'll go on to do amazing things, Nichelle. Since I was present at the trial, I just thought it would be best to pay my respects and leave Elvira flowers after Devontae Torres was sentenced to life in prison. That's a very sweet thing of you to do, Vivian. I won't get in the way of your visit here. Happy Memorial Day. That girl is getting a bit too close to our private affairs, Lorenzo. Please try not to be paranoid, Clarice. I'm not being paranoid. Vivian is an intern, only an intern, yet she's doing things which are above her pay grade. There's no price tag on showing kindness. You know that. Besides, I've been in the business for decades, remember? I can smell a snake a mile away. Vivian is not the sort of person we should be worrying about. In fact, I think there should be more young ladies like her. You have no power over me, so I'll continue seeing Ben, and you cannot tell me not to. I just told you. Ben forgave me, which is something you'll have to accept. He forgave me just like Gianni had to forgive you for your affair with Commissioner Burt. And I also had to forgive my husband for screwing a whore like you. If he truly cared about my son, then you wouldn't place yourself in a position where you would hurt him again. I won't hurt Ben. My plan is to make up for my mistakes and make him the happiest man alive. We both know a simple smile doesn't come to him naturally, Miss Franklin. If you don't do as I say, I promise that you'll regret the day you ever cross paths with my family. Sis, I'm the best fit to bring this family into the future. If you had the chance to meet me, then you'd agree. Vivian, what on earth are you doing here? Udell, I swear, if you try to snatch this phone out of my hand when I answer, I'll scream to the rooftops and get Owen to have you arrested. Don't test me. My plan is to make up for my mistakes and make him the happiest man alive. We both know a simple smile doesn't come to him naturally, Miss Franklin. If you don't do as I say, I promise that you'll regret the day you ever cross paths with my family. Vivian, what can I do for you? I'm not here for anything, Mr. Russo. In fact, I came here to apologize. Sorry for overstepping by visiting Elvira's grave. What's going on, Quinlan? First, I want to let you know that I really did have a great time eating dinner with you, Ben. And I enjoyed my time with you too. But there's something I've got to tell you. Something which would have just ruined our date. What's the matter? Your mom stopped by my place earlier that day. She knows about us. Yvette, what's wrong, baby? I'm worried that she'll leave home again. What are you doing here, Udell? I came to let you know that your friendship with my wife is causing harm to my daughter. Vivian, you did not overstep. Anyone is allowed to visit Elvira's grave. But I never knew her, Mr. Russo. True, but I'm comforted knowing that my daughter is still being remembered after her case was solved. It's even brought me comfort knowing other strangers would leave flowers at her grave even before we found out Devante was responsible. If Mrs. Russo knows about other strangers paying their respects, then I guess that she could just do without my attempts to pay respect. How did my mom find out? She saw us kissing at the courthouse. Of course she did. Are you okay? I'm just fine. Your mother only wanted me to stay away from you. Of course, I told her that wasn't happening. This is the last thing I wanted to happen when we got back together, especially so early. Heidi doesn't scare me, Ben. She should. Where is this coming from? I've been hearing you and Dad arguing lately. Yvette, your father and I have had plenty of arguments, just like many other married couples. But I bet other couples don't argue like you and Dad do. I hear what you two argue about, so I know that Dad still sees Elvira Russo as his soulmate, even though she passed away before I was born. Once again, you're speaking for Wanda when she can speak for herself. Except this time, I'm not speaking for my wife. I'm speaking for my child. Can you at least explain how my friendship with Wanda hurts your daughter? Certainly. On Memorial Day, Wanda and I needed to have an important discussion. Except we couldn't finish the discussion since you wanted to call her. I only called Wanda because I needed to check up on her since you told your wife that she wasn't your soulmate. Vivian, I assure you that Mrs. Russo has no issue with you. I would really like to believe you, except every time the two of us interact, I feel this coldness from her. Don't take it personally. My wife is a woman who is just overprotective when it comes to my family. Believe me, Mr. Russo. I'm not trying to twist your words at all, but it sounds like Mrs. Russo sees me as a threat. Do you agree with her? Why should I be afraid, Ben? It's not like Heidi has any power over either of us. She's the DA, and she'll never let you forget it. She does have power, but she can't control me or you. We've gone against the likes of Devante and Adaku. I'm not gonna let your mother intimidate me, and I'm sorry that I'm talking about your mother as if she's some sort of villain. To you, she is. She made you her enemy, Quinlan, and an enemy of the Russos is in serious trouble. I won't play dumb with you, Yvette. Yes, your father did say that Elvira was his soulmate, which makes me worried that you'll leave home again. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. But for my sake, you'll stay married to Dad until I graduate high school. Despite the tough time I'm dealing with, I still love your father, Yvette, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to stay married to him. Does that include kicking Owen Grant out of your life? Don't speak on matters that you know nothing about, Owen. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Udell, I had to comfort your wife as she cried in my arms. You love it, don't you? You love seeing Wanda in pain. No, I don't. The last thing I want to see is Wanda being hurt. Let me correct myself then. You enjoy when she's upset when it involves me. Vivian, if I thought that you were a threat, then you would no longer be working here. I appreciate it, Mr. Russo. Since we've got that settled, I need you to focus on the good work you're doing for this company. Most importantly,
continue being a compassionate person. Don't worry, I'm definitely focused on seeing Russo Jewelers' success. Alright, Ben, what do you suggest I do? You don't have to do a single thing. I'll handle my mother. Wait, I don't want there to be any more friction between the two of you. I'm still a Russo, Quinlan. Having friction with family comes with the territory. Owen isn't the source of my issues with your father, but he has something to do with it. Mom, you might not see him as a threat, but I know Dad does. Don't you think Owen has a thing for you? Not at all. The two of us are friends. Owen only wants to be my friend. The two of us can go back and forth when we find ourselves in court and I prosecute someone you defend. I'm glad you remember that I practice law, which means I didn't pass law school and the bar by being stupid. In other words, I'm almost positive you want something out of Wanda, which is more than friendship. You need to leave my office, Udell. But before you leave, I suggest you figure out what you want in life before you lose Wanda for good. Vanessa, call me crazy, but it sounds like you're being stalked. Wait, I don't want there to be any more friction between the two of you. I'm still a Russo, Quinlan. Having friction with family comes with the territory. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Udell, I had to comfort your wife as she cried in my arms. You love it, don't you? You love seeing Wanda in pain. You've got my number and you can either keep it or block it. I'm willing to answer the call anytime. Goodbye. Hey, Owen. Is everything alright? Can't say that I'm sure. What do you mean? Wanda, is our friendship negatively affecting your daughter? What is it you needed to tell me, Mom? I wasn't completely honest with you about why I defended Devontae Torres. It doesn't matter anymore. He's in prison. Besides, I'm not mad at you anymore. Not after he attacked you after he was found guilty. Mom, I never wanted to see you get hurt. I know, Alan, but I need you to let me speak. You need to know this. Devontae gave me no choice but to be his lawyer. He blackmailed me. Ben, how is my eldest son doing? Your eldest son is tired of your crap. Stop interfering in my relationship. Vanessa, how come you seem so terrified? Let me guess. Udell confronted you about it? Is it true, Wanda? Does our friendship cause any problems to Yvette? Yvette does feel like our friendship is causing a rift between Udell and I. But it's not, Owen. The issues between Udell and I run deeper. Would it make your life easier if I just kept my distance? What did Devontae hold over your head, Mom? Why didn't you ask for help? He didn't hold anything over my head, Alan. Besides, it was too dangerous to ask for help. Now I'm confused. You just said that he was blackmailing you. He was, but it wasn't anything he had on me. I was protecting someone. Who? You, Alan. Protecting me? Wait, did Devontae somehow find out that I lost half of my inheritance due to crypto trading? That's not it. When you were beaten up months ago, Devontae was behind it and threatened your life. Ben, there's no way you would have kept your relationship with Quinlan a secret forever. I guess you're the expert on having secret relationships. Right, Mom? You didn't have to go there. Besides, did Quinlan follow my advice and leave you alone? It wasn't advice that you gave her. You know it was a threat, and I'm telling you to back off.
It's nothing to worry about, Elissa. Do you expect me to leave it alone? I've never seen you this terrified before. At first, I wasn't terrified. That was until I let JJ get in my head. Get in your head about what? Do you remember when I told you how I got that random rose sent to my house? Yeah, well, I've been getting random texts recently, and JJ has this theory that I'm being stalked. Owen, my life would kind of feel empty without you as my friend. I feel the same way, but I also don't want to add any pain to your daughter's life. Not after what she's been through. Yvette will come to accept our friendship. Do you think Udell will accept us as friends as well? Devontae had that thug beat me up and you knew all along? For months you knew who was behind the beating and said nothing? I hated keeping this from you, Alan, but I was trying to protect you. It never occurred to you to try and at least make some sort of plan to use this information against Devontae? Because I needed to ensure your safety. I wasn't going to take that risk. So you would rather defend the man who took my aunt's life and help him get away with having your only child get beat up? My desire was to keep you alive, Alan, just when I thought I could rely on you. Now I see that I can't rely on either of my parents. Alan. I'm trying to protect you, Ben. I'm a grown man. I don't need your protection. Clearly you do, because you went back to the woman who almost destroyed my marriage. As if you had no hand in that either. Besides, Max informed me that Dad decided not to go through the divorce. The point I'm trying to make is that if Quinlan can go after a man like your father, then she could easily get bored of you and go after the next man who offers her more excitement and more wealth. Despite Finnegan having less, you sure know a lot about making your life exciting when he pursued you all those years ago. Bottom line, I feel like all of this is just harmless. But you blocked this guy, and he keeps on texting you. Besides, you still don't know how he got your number. Ulissa, I'm trying not to jump to conclusions. Not after what happened between Max and Yvette. Max and Yvette's situation is completely different from yours. Does this guy make you uncomfortable, Vanessa? Yeah, but I'm more annoyed than anything. It's not like I feel threatened by this guy, but the more you ignore him, the more likely it is that he could threaten you. Udell's gonna have to get over it. I really am sorry that our friendship has caused conflict in your marriage. Udell is the one making problems. Of course, I wish that there weren't any issues since it seems like we just got back on track. He doesn't deserve you, Wanda. No, he doesn't, but I still love him. Just remember what you're worth, and let's hope Udell remembers how priceless you are. Come in. Dr. Murphy? I'm sorry, I just wasn't sure who else to turn to. Quinlan is nothing like me. Nothing about her compares. Unlike her, I love your father and I'm willing to settle down. You were already settled down and proved that you weren't content when Finnegan pursued you. Continue to bring up Quinlan's flaws and I'll gladly bring up yours. Let me make one thing clear, Mom. If you make Quinlan your enemy, then I need you to know that you're also making an enemy out of me. If this guy begins to threaten me, then I'll tell my parents. I hope so. I will. But if I really am being stalked, then I have no idea what this creeper sees in me. Vanessa, you're more beautiful than you think. Most of all, there's no reason to make sense of what goes on inside the mind of a maniac. Please think about what we just discussed. Let me make one thing clear, Mom. If you make Quinlan your enemy, then I need you to know that you're also making an enemy out of me. Don't worry, I'm definitely focused on seeing Russo Jewelers' success. Dr. Murphy? I'm sorry, I just wasn't sure who else to turn to. Hi, I'm Quinlan Franklin. I was told that the new boss wanted to see me.
Hey, Quinlan.
Pacho? You? You're the new CEO of Global News Press?
This is the CEO's office, right? Unless I already got lost on my first day on the job.
Why do you look so miserable, Heidi? It's Ben. What happened? Our son allowed Quinlan to get back in his life, romantically.
I'm all ears, Lorenzo. What is it you needed to discuss with me?
I've been trying to find a good way to say this, Clarice. I'm still not even sure how to start.
This sounds serious.
Because it is. Vivian spoke with me the other day and she told me how she's aware of your hostility against her. What's wrong, Alan? I've come to accept that neither of my parents are reliable. I've got a dad who's selfish and a mother who continues to lie and keep things from me. I know you're not a psychiatrist, but am I screwed up, Dr. Murphy? Throughout my years in medicine, I've worked with plenty of mentally ill patients. I don't think you're one of them, Alan. I don't feel crazy, but what about my genes? I've always wanted to be a dad someday, but what if I pass on some screwed up gene onto my future kids? Or worse, what if I'm a trash parent to my future kids just like my parents? How is this even possible? How did you become CEO?
Since my father decided to hand off Theodosius' palace off to Nichelle, and with Adaku out of the picture, I knew the station was looking for someone to fill the role. That's when I met with every board member, told them how I plan to make this station relevant and how to bring this station into the future. So they voted me in.
Wow. Well, you certainly don't miss out on opportunities. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Since you're my boss now, I guess I can make one simple request.
I'm all ears.
I've been working here for a couple of years now. Am I able to get everything set up to have my own news program?
No can do, Quinlan. Ben and Quinlan are back together? How come this is the first that I'm hearing about this?
Because my hope was that our son would come to his senses and tell the girl to take a hike.
Did you confront Ben about it?
No, actually, he came to my office.
And that's how you found out about them, Heidi? He told you?
Ben didn't have to tell me anything. After Devontae's sentencing, I saw them kissing. It sickened me to see Quinlan's poisonous lips on our baby Gianni. Since I was uncomfortable with what I saw, I confronted Quinlan.
Heidi, what did you do to her?
Vivian should have no reason to feel any hostility from me.
If you have no reason to be hostile, then why do you always seem to give her the cold shoulder?
I'm not.
This is me you're talking to, Clarice. Remember? Your husband for well over 50 years? You have nothing to hide from me, because I've noticed you being kind of cold towards the girl. I've never seen you act like this with anyone before.
Alan, I'm really sorry for what you're going through. But why come to me? Aren't you close to your grandparents? I respect Nono a lot. And of course, I adore Nona. Always have, always will. But all they'll do is demonize my mom and encourage me to make peace with my dad. At the moment, I don't feel like making peace with either of my parents. What exactly did your mother do to upset you? Is it her relationship with my ex-husband? I'll still never get over that. But that's not what upsets me this time. Devontae Torres forced her to be her lawyer. If she didn't, then he was gonna exterminate me. And getting me beat up was his warning towards her. Alan, I'm so sorry to hear that. I should be the one saying sorry. Here I am pouring out my frustrations when this isn't even your expertise. I just needed to speak with someone, or else or else I would just go crazy.
Are you kidding me? Since this is my company and since I don't play around when it comes to business, then you should know that this isn't a joke.
You know how good I am at my job, Pacho. Even Adaku knew how good I was. She even offered to give me my own news program.
I'm sure she told you that before she went crazy and tried to take your life. Most of all, I'm not gonna follow the example of a criminal. GNP wants to save face, and I'm dedicated to preserving this company's professional reputation.
And giving me my own news program is tarnishing the company?
That's not what I'm saying, Quinlan. Look, the two of us conspired against my father and Adaku. How would it look if I just handed you what you're asking for? It's unprofessional.
But I've had a hand in covering the biggest stories this year. No one else in this company did. The public could benefit in what I have to say and the sort of guests I would bring onto my own program. It would not only benefit the public, it would benefit this station.
I know you would bring success to this station, which is why I'm keeping you here.
Why are you so concerned about that little whore, Gianni? Why do you still care about what happens to her when you should be worried about our son?
First of all, Ben is a grown man. Besides, I don't feel like we have to be concerned about him because he chose to forgive Quinlan. Hopefully he could end up forgiving me in the process.
And you think Ben would forgive you as long as he's with Quinlan? That tramp will influence him to distance himself from us.
Heidi, you don't think your meddling will make Ben keep his distance from this family? Besides, you still haven't answered my question. What did you do to Quinlan?
Unbelievable. Are you jealous of the fact that Ben got a second chance with that skank and you didn't?
Lorenzo, if I'm being cold towards that girl, then it has nothing to do with me. Maybe she is the problem.
You're blaming Vivian for your attitude? She's done nothing but show kindness to this family, which is something you should appreciate.
There's nothing wrong with showing kindness, but there is something wrong when that kindness doesn't come from a genuine heart.
What makes you think that she's got an ulterior motive, Clarice?
You'll think that I'm crazy, but I don't care. I can't explain it, Lorenzo, but I just have a feeling that girl is hiding something from us.
You must think I'm pathetic. Here I am crying in your office like some little punk. There's nothing you have to feel embarrassed about, Alan. In fact, it feels nice to feel needed. Honestly, I haven't felt that way in a long time. Not by Finnegan, not even by my own son. I'm sorry to hear that. Finnegan was an idiot to cheat on you. But again, Heidi was stupid to fall head over heels for him. As for Keeve, he doesn't know how lucky he is to have you as a mom. I can't even remember the last time anyone really sympathized for me. For most of my life, I've been considered to be this ice queen to other people. A queen you are, but cold-hearted isn't how I describe you, Dr. Murphy. I should be thanking you for letting me keep a job I'm excellent at, yet you won't help me progress? At the moment, I wish you had taken over Theodosius' palace.
Well, I'm not running Theodosius' palace. And yes, Quinlan, you should be grateful to have me as a boss. There's no telling how another CEO would want to shake up this station.
It's kind of hard to be grateful, since you're pretending like my current work doesn't deserve to be rewarded.
You won't be in the same position forever, Quinlan. Just take things one step at a time. I'll make sure you find success in this company.
I agreed to stay married to you, didn't I? Only after I seduced you.
Did you seduce me just to stay as my wife or because you loved me?
I do love you, Gianni.
And I love you too. So can we just trust each other?
Fine. I won't be so paranoid when it comes to your previous foolish mistake with Quinlan.
Thank you.
But if you want to know, I asked Quinlan to stay away from Ben. Clearly, she didn't listen.
Getting in between her and Ben will only make Ben angry. Can you agree to back off and just put all of our focus on getting justice for Max?
For Max's sake, I'll make sure not to keep my eyes off of the prize. But I won't turn away while our other son is making the biggest mistake of his life. You can't just base your judgment on someone off of your feelings, Clarice.
My gut feeling has never been wrong. Not even one.
Not even one what?
Never mind, Lorenzo. Never mind.
We're not supposed to be doing this, Alan. Did you block my number? I sure haven't called you back after our last conversation on the phone. That should give you an idea on how I feel. Since your call went through, that gives me an idea of how you feel. This shouldn't be happening. I don't care.